trying to claim my riches. You're a bum who mows lawns for rupees and thinks flutes will make me wanna be your groupie. Do please give me the blonde hair, long weave, shortcuts. Run at the gauntlet, she goes. Apparently you only lay pipes for a pona. Either way the ship has sailed.
Been on the terminal bay. Nothing will make me ever fly away. Got a problem, just say it to my face. Man, I'll resolve it with a DK. Yeah, I'll resolve it with a DK. We be representing MC Master Hayin for life. Go down and cover history like Mr. Clouser. Zero Suit Sam, that's my wife. We are the Super Smash. We are the Super Smash. Yeah, we're the Super Smash. The Super Duper Smash Brothers.
Dude, I have just been... Are we live?
Are we?
Yes, we are. Well, we're live, but can they hear us?
I don't know, man. Can they hear us?
Okay. Alright, yes I can.
You're like, don't you play your shit games with me. Yes, we are live. Welcome to the Vomitorium. I am the Metal, your host as always, and my co-host Chris is here. How are you doing today, Chris?
I don't know, man. I don't even feel like I'm awake right now.
Same.
Yeah, I was out in the sun for a bit today, so I don't know, maybe I'm a bit delusional. I don't like the sun. But
You don't like
sure
the
as hell
sun?
likes me. Yeah, I like it.
I love the sun.
Well, it's kinda like the sun is like life. You can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
I hate life.
we wouldn't be
so
around without the sun. We'd all kind of just not exist.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So do you want to start us off with anything, or?
Yeah. I'll start us off. Because after whatever I say, you're just going to end up talking about Halo, which is respectable, since 3 just came out. But we know that's what you're going to talk about. So we can wait for that a little bit. Because I'm sure you can talk ad nauseum about Halo. And today we're going to talk about something that we didn't get to talk about before, being that we kind of had like back-to-back fixed topics for the last couple times. And missed this announcement. They had announced that there is going to be an Uncharted film quite a while ago. Like a really long time ago they announced there was going to be a film. But recently we got casting for it for the main character, and Monsieur Drake, as you know, is apparently pegged to be played by Tom Holland right now. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think Tom Holland kind of fits that Drake aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't either. Unless what you said.
Yeah, there were rumors when they first announced that they were making an Uncharted movie that it was not going to be starting at the first game. Obviously, the story's not going to parallel the games exactly anyway. It's going to be like its own thing based off the games. Every video game movie is like that.
Yeah.
But the rumors were that it was going to start earlier in his career, since we do get like flashbacks in the later games of like when he first meets Sully and stuff like that. So if they do that, it won't be the worst. I don't know. But then, it's like, well, Holland is an adult, so it's not like he's actually going to age up too much. I guess he could build up over the course of filming this movies, too, but
Yeah.
if they cast him now, he's still going to be Drake throughout the rest of the movies, most likely.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't really know. I never really played any Uncharted games. I want to. I definitely want to, but
They're in the list of games that I wish I liked them more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of what am I
Yes.
getting at? I like the stories. I like the main character. I even like some of the side characters. I just didn't enjoy playing the game at all. And I know that they get better in like the later versions, but I started at the beginning, and I'm one of those guys that if it's a series game where the stories tie together, I want to play all the way through it. I don't want to like jump around. And the beginning of the first Uncharted was just so boring and slow to me. And easy. Like, I was playing it on the hardest starting difficulty. that I just was not enjoying myself with the game. And I put it down and I never touched it again. But I did watch a Let's Play of it. You remember Sean Bolin from Screw Attack, right?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you could. Did you hear me?
What did you say?
I said yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I guess you cut out at that moment.
Weird.
Yeah. So you remember Sean Bolin, and he, for like a weekend leading up to the release of the last Uncharted game, played all the previous ones back to back. And that's how I experienced the story of Uncharted, since I never could bring myself to play through it itself. And they're fun stories. I would actually love to see, maybe not live action movies, because I don't know, live action stuff gets messed up every time somebody does it for the most part.
Yeah.
If you got the right studio, maybe. Seems the only people that do good adaptations of things these days are Legendary Pictures, so put Legendary on it, maybe, right? But an animated series would be great. Just take the games and one for one make the story into an animated series. The animated series usually do really good with adaptations. I'm kind of in the boat that, for the most part, aside from that god-awful Castlevania series, but for the most part, I'd rather see an animated series of something than a live action. What, did you have a problem with me calling that Castlevania series god-awful?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even reflect the Castlevania series in its barest form?
I mean, it doesn't lore.
No, my problem isn't that, because it actually looks quite a bit like Castlevania. My problem is that it doesn't act like Castlevania.
I mean, what does act like Castlevania? That's like...
Well, they completely slaughtered, like, the very basics of the story.
Nah.
Yeah, okay, one, turn Trevor into a drunk.
He probably was before he started going back to fighting.
No. There's no basis on that. In fact, the Belmont clan was always held in the highest esteem, and they were giving their crusade by the Catholic Church. That show also turned the Catholic Church into the bad guy for the most part. And I think that's just injecting the modern views of the Catholic Church onto the series, even though that wasn't the case in the series.
I mean, I don't know. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, it's a good animated show for what it is. I just wouldn't call it a good Castlevania show. If you were to strip all the characters' names and the word Castlevania off of it and just make an original series, it'd be fine. I just don't think it does justice to Castlevania.
I mean, it's going in the right direction, like, story-wise. Like, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Kinda.
Like, when you look at the timeline.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch. They have to add a bunch. There's a lot they have to, like, you know, pretty much make up because it's not even told in the games.
Yeah, it's very bare bones in the games.
I mean,
most of the
it's based on 3, so there's not really...
Well, the basic story is told to you in the manual of the game that nobody bothers to read.
But that's what happens. The only thing there is one person missing. Grant.
Yeah.
But
that actually upset me. I don't know if they're gonna bring Grant in.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna bring him up or not. I don't know. But besides that, it goes the same way. Like, fight the
they can't even keep
Cyclops.
the characters consistent for the characters that they made, right? Like, there's this out-of-character moment where Trevor and Alucard just basically tell each other, fuck you, for no reason. Like a modern bro moment that doesn't fit the characters.
I mean, it would make sense that they have that kind of relationship, though, being one's a vampire and one's a vampire
I don't know
killer.
about that.
With the types of characters they are, that's what it is. I mean, it's an animated series. It's not meant to be like taken super seriously.
Why not though?
Why not? Because it's for entertainment.
Yeah, but there's a lot of super serious stuff that's for entertainment.
It's not like
It's not a kid's show.
documentary.
For sure.
It's made to exactly the reason why a lot of things are made, to pander.
Now that I'll agree with, and this is why I don't think it's that great of a show. But you could take animation, you could take it completely seriously. Japan does it all the time. There's plenty of completely serious adult anime, right?
Yeah, but there's always those small moments where it's not.
But it also depends if it still feels like it's supposed to be in that series, right? Like, I could take an example, Gungrave was pretty much serious from the beginning to the end. And that's a really good season. And even here in the West we do it. Like, if you watch the, not the greatest film, but it was better than anything DC's put out otherwise, that recent Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. It had a couple laughs, but the laughs seemed in character, and they weren't like... They were things that Constantine was doing, and you know Constantine is going to be funny, because that's the type of character that he is. But other than that, it was, like, serious. The people dying, like, main characters dying, being ripped in half, turned into cyborgs and stuff like that. I don't get this idea that animation can't be 100% serious from start to finish.
Well,
it's just a form of story.
Even those small laughs is what I'm talking about. Like it's for entertainment. But the
small laughs have to be in character, though.
I mean, I felt like that whole moment was in character for them.
Oh, that moment drew me out of it. Like, it completely killed my immersion.
From what I saw, that's what it seemed in character. From the moment that you meet Trevor, you see he's kind of an asshole, and from the moment he meets Alucard, they're bickering at each other. Like, it's in character from what they form. It may not be in character from what the game is.
No, I'm even talking about what they did. That seemed like an extra step forward from what they were doing prior to that. And it seemed like just a ha-ha bro moment because the other character left them alone.
I mean, it kind of was, but
Well, that was my problem for it. It seemed like it was just forced in there. It didn't seem natural.
I don't know. I know what moment you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. A lot of people I know enjoyed it. Most people I know enjoy. You're the only person I've met that hasn't liked it.
Well, like, I started to enjoy it. Like, I liked the first 4 episodes when I first watched it. The things that were upsetting me about it were upsetting me from the beginning, but I gave it a pretty positive review. I haven't really liked anything since those 4 episodes, though. Like, it kind of upset me that they made Trevor a drunk from the beginning.
I think it just fits time period.
That didn't negatively impact my initial review of the show.
I liked it. But, besides that, like, if they just did full CGI, Blizzard could make some good fucking movies or shows.
They could.
But they refuse to. Like, oh my god, I love the CGI, like the fucking cutscenes and cinematics, in their newer games. Like, even in the old ones, they were fucking really good for the time. When I was a kid, I used to watch the short, like, what is it? They're like these videos in StarCraft. They're like cinematics or cutscenes, I guess, but they're like their own mission. And I used to watch them over and over again.
Well, actually, here's a good thing to bring up too, right? With StarCraft, even though you could argue here in the West that Warcraft is a more popular title because of the World of Warcraft game, bringing the franchise to the front. These days, most movies are made for China and overseas, right? Because there are just far more people in China. And what's more popular in Asia, period, known more for Korea, but it's super popular in China, like people like it there, is StarCraft. There are competitive leagues all throughout Asia for StarCraft. Why have they never even attempted to make a StarCraft movie?
I don't know, man. I feel like they neglect StarCraft, man.
Yeah, that would
Or they
be a
have.
big seller because of overseas.
I feel like they've been neglecting StarCraft for like the past, I don't know, like 5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty much when Legacy of the Void came out, which was the last fucking one for StarCraft 2, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they said they were working on something else for StarCraft, and then they took the team off to help do something else. And it was like, god damn.
And StarCraft is arguably a better series, despite only having 2 games. Like, I like Warcraft more, personally. It's just the type of environment that I like. And I really got into Warcraft 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll take WoW aside, because WoW it's in the same lore, but it's kind of its own game from the Warcraft series. If we're just comparing Warcraft to StarCraft, mechanically, balance, the effort put into each game, StarCraft 1 and 2 are kind of just a better series than Warcraft 1, 2.
They're so polished.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what I like about them. They're very, very polished. And that's what I like about Blizzard games in general, is that they're very polished.
Apparently, some people still care, because the update to Warcraft 3 wasn't awful. Like, it wasn't riddled with bugs or anything. It was just as polished as the original game.
Mm-hmm.
And that surprised me, because ever since the Activision merger, it seemed like they just didn't care about their properties.
Yeah. When StarCraft got remastered, it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Shit. It looked really good. It brought like a big crowd back to Brood War for a while.
Yeah.
It's kind of dying down now, but more people are like watching it. I don't know, but like for me, like I feel like as I've gotten older, like I cannot fucking play Star. I just can't. I can't deal with how stressful that fucking game is. RTS games are just so stressful because you got so much shit going on all over the place. And although I used to be really fucking good at that, I can't.
You gotta raise your actions per minute, man.
I can't do it anymore. Like it's just like it's not fun for me. It's like a job at that point. But I love watching.
I think it's a job for most people that play it. Just a lot of people enjoy that job.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I love watching it. I watch it all the time.
Have you ever
Shit,
felt
I was watching it on
stress
stream
on
the other day.
behalf of somebody playing an RTS?
Oh yeah, but not enough for me to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. But that actually reminded me, because we brought up Castlevania. There is another video game that has already been announced to be receiving a Netflix adaptation by the same studio. And this one,
it was
not too worried about them ruining, because all the elements they like to inject into things were already in this game, and also
Yeah.
hardly anybody remembers the story, so even if somebody were to complain about it, it would probably go on deaf ears. It is Dragon's Dogma by Capcom.
Dragon's
game.
Dogma. I thought it was what's it called?
Was there another one I haven't heard about?
Oh, that was Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry has been, which they actually, with the Dragon's Dogma announcement, reasserted that is going to happen, but that was announced like years ago and has kind of just been in production limbo.
I thought it was the guy who did Castlevania. At first I heard, the first rumor I heard was Metroid, and of course, me being me,
Yeah.
I was like, no
You're
fucking
like,
way.
okay, Castlevania, Metroid, they're in the same.
Yeah, I
genre.
was like, I was like, it was believable, and I thought it would be like, it would be really good for Metroid.
Yeah.
But no, of course not. Can't have two things I like. And plus Metroid's just like, it's like in a place where it's unreachable, but like right at the, like you can almost reach it.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
you always think there's gonna be something new, and it's not.
My problem is I'm worried when it comes to these people, right? And I think this is the reason why the decisions for Castlevania that were made. And I, for the most part, don't like the idea of Westerners writing these Japanese games into animation. In some degree, I'd rather it just be a Japanese animation first, and then hopefully we get a good dub company for it.
I mean, that would be great. Don't get me wrong.
That would be the preference.
I would prefer a Japanese company to make these. I'm not gonna disagree at all with that. But
you'll take what you can get.
But like, where our opinions differ is that I really like the way they did Castle. So, like, I love the way that they made Trevor, as you said, like a drunk. Like, I like that he's fucking asshole and shit. Because I don't know.
Man,
But
I have a personal problem with the person who was writing it, which was Warren Ellis, who came from comics and has been ruining comics for like the last 5 years. Doing similar things, taking an already established property, changing the way characters are to meet his needs, and they don't act like the way you'd expect the characters to act if you know anything about them. And this has kind of just been a repeating thing for him. That it's fine to like that show. I don't want him attached to any of these future projects, though.
yeah, I mean, I'd be alright with that. I just like the style a lot.
Well, the
actually.
animation style was good.
I
The
was
one thing
really
people,
impressed by it.
Complain about was the way the animation looks.
I was really impressed by the animation. I was like, wow, like, especially for like a Western company.
Yeah, though, looking from the screenshots I saw for Dragon's Dogma, which is supposed to be out this fall, I believe. So I'm assuming the show, what episodes that they have are it's already finished. It probably isn't like a full season. It's probably going to do what they did with Castlevania, because people cut it up. Like the first 4 episodes was considered a season or a part. I think there's only been, in my degree of what a season is, anywhere between 1 to 2 seasons. You can either say it was 1 long season or 2 short seasons, but 4 episodes isn't a season to me. Like, you'll never be able to convince me that 4 episodes is a season. It didn't become a full season until they added the next 8 and it became 12 episodes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But whatever they have done based on the screenshots, it looks like they're ready to go, and they're probably just working on whatever the next part is. But it looked like they were doing that thing where they make CG models and then try to compress it to look like anime, like flat. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so,
Which
yeah.
they did a couple times in Castlevania. If you looked, some of the monsters and stuff were clearly 3D models that they compressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't look so bad because a lot of the monsters were like obscured by shadow or almost practically shadow themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't like it when they do this. Voltron was almost entirely that way. It appeared to be a flat animation, but if you look closely, you could see the curves and stuff from where they flattened it.
The new one?
Yeah, the one on Netflix. It appeared to be a flat animation. But, like, all of the models were entirely done in CG and then flattened. You could see it if you're, like, really paying attention to the show. And
Besides that, is it good?
yeah, no, people liked it. I watched some of it.
Oh, yeah, you
I
can totally
enjoyed what I
tell.
watched. They made some changes that a lot of people weren't happy with, and I understand why they weren't happy. They made Pidge a girl. That'd be fair, Pidge always kind of acted like a girl.
Yeah.
But, you know, understandably, if you like the original character, you're allowed to be upset when they make a change like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Some of the changes I felt they did that were for the better. Some of the changes for the worse. So it kind of evens out. If you're not too hung up on things, I would say it is worth a watch. If you just want, like, your in-space robot fights against giant monsters.
Yeah, I might actually check it out, just because
It's by the same
I used to watch
team that
Ultron
did,
when I was younger.
The Legend of Korra. Which,
Gotcha.
I didn't like Korra. I thought that was a horrible follow-up to Avatar. But,
I haven't seen it, but I know it's like a cult following.
yeah,
But they're kind of weird.
I think Voltron's better. And I think it's because, I don't know if the same writer was involved, it might just be the same animation team. But it's not associated with Nick, and that's probably for the best, because Nickelodeon keeps a lot of horrible writers around these days. And,
Rest in peace, Nick.
yeah. So if it's just an animation team, it depends on which writers they get, and the writers seem fine.
Dope.
So,
Yeah, I'll check it out.
yeah. But
Man.
hot garbage. Understandable. You're allowed to have that opinion. There's unless you're talking about Korra. But you're allowed to have that opinion about Voltron too. Like I said, some of the changes were too drastic for long-term fans. But, like, again, if you're not too hung up on that thing, I've heard a lot of positive reviews from other people. It's like with Castlevania. That's the way I see it. Like, I think the changes are too drastic. But if I know somebody's not that hung up on it, I probably would still recommend they watch it.
Speaking of animated series, and this kind of is related, or it not kind of is, it's straight up related with the other thing I was going to talk about. Have you seen Halo Legends?
I have.
What's your opinion on it?
I
like it a lot. I really like it. I think all the animators are actually Japanese.
Oh, the entire thing, except for I think maybe one writer who was a consultant sent from Bungie, are all Japanese.
Yeah, I think they're all the whole team, and I like all the different art styles.
Mm-hmm.
They're all really, you know, more informing about the series.
Yeah, but see,
If you don't
that's a
read the
series.
books.
And this is also like why I wouldn't mind if Uncharted was made into a series like Castlevania from a Western studio. I wouldn't mind if Halo was made into an animation from a Western studio. They're Western stories. You can send a consultant who speaks the same language as the animators to come over here and get things right from the writing team. They'll get it, you know. I think most Western studios don't get the Japanese stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's some that would. I just don't think they're the ones being put on the stories. But, like, if you took Halo, like Legends, which To a degree, you could argue that the Japanese studio didn't quite get the story, but they made a very entertaining series out of it.
I mean, the story's fit.
And they did have a single consultant on there, so that's probably why it worked as well as it did. But I think a Halo animated series here, like done in the Castlevania way, would actually be really good. Because you can literally... the only problem is, Bungie is so far disconnected. You would want them to be attached to it, like at least send a consultant over or something.
Well, probably be 343.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Not Bungie.
Right? But you'd want at least somebody from Bungie to be sent over, because you'd probably be wanting to deal with the historical parts of the game. And 343 did the remastering, but they didn't write the story.
Yeah, but they're also doing like the new ones and stuff too.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
the biggest complaint about some of the newer stuff that 343's done is the story for Halo 5 was shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Halo 5 or watched the story or anything. I was going to the other day because I was interested, but I just didn't get to it because I was streaming or something.
Okay, I'll give Marsupial that. At least season or part 2 of Castlevania had music from the game.
True.
But that's like the saving grace for it.
Yeah, that scene was really dope. But what's funny is that there's a lot of talk, and it's probably more than talk by now, about Halo doing a live action series.
I could see that working.
Because their live action is actually pretty good with the stories may not be that good because it's kind of like side stories, but they fit in the game. Like the lore is there. Like 100%. In fact, I think the live action Halo things that exist are fillers for in between games.
Yes, they're all canon.
Yeah, so it's you know what's funny? I thought the same thing. I was like, Tommy looks like Han Solo today. But
oh, I guess I do.
But yeah, I really enjoy them, even though they're probably not as good as I enjoy them to be. Legends, though, I love. I fucking...
Oh, yeah, Legends is great.
But
really... also, that was made back in a time where the consultant that was sent over there was from Bungie.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bungie was still working on the project.
But, yeah, Steven Spielberg is supposed to be working on it.
Ooh. That could be astounding, or it could be garbage. Spielberg's been very hit and miss with a lot of his stuff.
It's for It's going to be on Showtime, and from what I heard recently, it's been said that their budget is like the same budget as Game of Thrones.
Okay.
So
it's going to start out really strong and then peter out over time.
I'm fine with that. As long as I get something that's at least, good in the beginning, I'll be happy. I enjoyed the shit out of Game of Thrones.
I did
even
too.
Though the end
up
was...
until like halfway through 6.
I enjoyed it almost the whole way. Even the ending was like, yeah.
The problem was the budget, right? They didn't get to flesh out the ending because of how short
exactly.
the time constraints were. Because Martin has said that the ending is going to be basically the same when asked. That's assuming he ever actually gets to writing it. He'll die before he finishes this series. But it's supposed to be the same. He's just in a novelized form. You have a lot more room to flesh everything out to make that ending make sense. He didn't get to build up the final storyline for Circe or any of that stuff because everything is just put down into 6 episodes.
Yeah. It was very upsetting.
Yeah.
Um,
But other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was a good show.
but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. From what they're saying, it sounds like it could be really good. It has potential to be really good. Well, whether it will be or not, we'll have to, wait. But it has all the elements to be good.
Yeah.
Just, putting it together the right way. But
It has to have a high budget though, because
oh yeah,
how
for sure.
are you gonna make the Covenant look believable if you don't have a high enough budget?
True.
A lot of them, especially like the brutes and the arbiters and stuff like that, right? Their bodies are arranged in a way that they don't look quite human. Like you can't just put somebody in a suit.
Oh well, then there's no way they're gonna do that.
You
There's
have
no
to
way
have,
they would
like,
do that.
CG levels of budget, so that you can like have a guy in somewhat of a suit on a green screen that you can then take into the engine and turn into the actual thing. I just kind of want to see the little grunts running around.
Demons.
Oh, yeah, dude, they're the best characters in the whole games. I don't care what anybody says. They're so entertaining. You just shoot one once, too, and like you hit them in the knee, and they're just crippled there, and like ah.
Fucking. I so as you know, I was streaming all the Halo games.
Yeah.
All the way up to 3 because 3 came out yesterday. So I was like, what, I'm gonna beat them all. And when I got the 2, which would be the last one,
yeah,
I was so used to shooting grunts in the head that when I was playing as the arbiter, I kept fucking shooting my teammates because I just saw a grunt and it was just boom, pop them. Yeah. I didn't mean to. But, I did.
But you get easy headshots on everybody in the multiplayer because everyone wants to play as the Arbiter. But you realize that the Arbiter's hitbox for the headshot is a lot bigger.
No, not that many people play as the elites.
Yeah.
I was actually telling Gage, because I was playing with Gage, because he was going to make an elite, and I was like, do not do an elite. You're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, dude, because their hitbox is so much bigger from the head.
Yeah, they're harder to hit from behind in the head, but it's harder to hit it's still harder to hit the Spartans in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Like, either way.
You just put yourself in a disadvantage playing as the elite.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, it was... Sorry. I got a text and it fucking lost track my track.
Your brain exploded.
But, yeah, it's been a lot of fun playing them. And then 3 came out, as we know. I was playing the fuck out of it yesterday. Oh. I was very surprised at how many people actually showed up.
I was actually just thinking about making a live action show again, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, much like Game of Thrones, there would be a point in the first series, because obviously you'd want to start with the first Halo, right?
Mm-hmm.
There would be a point where it goes from a hardcore action series to kind of like a horror survival. No, you because you can always go backwards. You don't have to tell the story in chronological order. Because there's some reveals and stuff. You actually wouldn't want to start with ODST.
No, Reach.
Or Reach, yeah. You wouldn't want to start all the way in the past. Right? Because if you started back then, it would ruin some of the surprises later. You want to start the first one because you want that kind of like switch from action to horror, where they uncover the flood for the first time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
Well,
too.
there's no flood in Reach.
There's no flood in Reach, but like this setup, right, is what you want to introduce your audiences to the series with. So you want like a few episodes of just straight up action, and then you want to hit the point when the flood comes. You know, when you reach the flood.
Yeah.
But you can tell these
True.
stories out of order. Like there's no problem. The games told them out of order. I just say do it in release order of the games.
Yeah, true. That would be good.
Yeah.
Um,
And then stop before we get to 5.
that's stop 45. I didn't really know what happened in 4. I never beat 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I haven't. I'm gonna play it when it comes out on Steam because I plan on beating all of them. But
And
yeah.
Ezekiel says he's never played Halo. Guess he's a fake gamer girl. I agree. Never played Halo. You are indeed a fake gamer girl.
That's true. That's a big true right there. Get it on fucking Steam. You get all of them for $40.
Yep. Or the Windows Store, whichever one floats your boat.
Don't do a Windows Store.
I've heard the Windows Store version is actually optimized pretty well.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 just came out. We're just waiting on 4, and then ODST,
Yeah, I still need to grab all of them.
and then 4. But I hope it's good, and I hope it comes out soon because it's been getting pushed back over and over,
Yeah.
and that's worrisome.
Yeah.
But
And speaking of that other one that you mentioned, though,
Hmm.
I don't know if I want a Devil May Cry animated series. I already got one. There was a Devil May Cry anime back in the day.
Mhm.
That was really good. It was written by the exact same people that made the game. Like most of the team were the game team, and then they hooked him up with some like animators. So Dante felt like Dante, Trish felt like Trish, Lady felt like Lady, and anybody
the way
who
it
was
should be.
involved felt like the characters. It's a canonical story that takes place in the game, in the world. In fact, Patty Lowell makes a cameo appearance, well, just her voice does, in Devil May Cry 5, where she's on the phone call. It's her 18th birthday, so you know it's years after. It actually gives you kind of like a timeline because of that. And she's inviting Dante to show up to her party, and he just kind of like hangs up on her. Because she was a teenager, like a little, maybe 12 to 13-year-old girl in the series, and now she's like 18, so you know like 6 years have passed.
Yeah. That's pretty dope. That's the way it should be. That's the way the game should be made, or the adaptation should be made.
Yeah, if they did that too, and this is why like Capcom's more invested than most people are when it comes to their properties, even though they do tend to just let certain things rot and die. Mega Man. But historically, they've been more invested in their properties than most people when it comes to like animation and crossover and stuff. That for Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry, I do see them sending writing teams and consultants over to the animation studio to make sure things come out okay. So I have a little bit more faith in those ones. Honestly, wish Konami felt the same. Castlevania could have been an even better series if Konami felt that way, but I mean,
Yeah.
How much do they care about any of their games these days? They're a holdings company. It's just like, whatever. We'll, as long as you make us money, we don't care.
True.
Yeah. They'd rather make everything into a pachinko machine because they know that makes money.
Yeah.
But if they actually they need Langdrin to be the voice of Dante. Like, just have the actual voice actors over there. Like, send them to the studio. Most of them are Americans anyway. Because like you know, the thing about Devil May Cry is that the English voices are the actual voices for the characters first, and it's dubbed into Japanese before the releases. Because the English voice actors are also the stunt people that for the scenes that they make.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the mocap people. And the guy who voices Dante is basically Dante in real life, but like to human limits. The dude went down to like Venezuela and was shot at. I think he even got hit once too, and he just like walked it off.
The fuck?
Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Oh, what is it called?
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, wait, there's no reason that if they make a DMC animation here, that the actual voices from the games shouldn't be the voices in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that's been bothering me so much lately when it comes to like Hollywood and movies. You know that Scoob movie? That recent Scooby-Doo one?
Oh, yeah.
That
I forgot
pisses me
about it.
off so much because they're like, nah, let's not go with the talented voice actors that have been playing these characters for the last few years in a very, very desirable way. Like, most of the people who voice these characters sound like the characters historically. But no, we won't go with them. We're going to go with these Hollywood A-listers who sound nothing like the characters in this movie that treat the characters nothing like they've been historically, just so we can start our Hanna-Barbera shared universe.
Jeez.
Because the Blue Falcon, Captain Caveman, I think there's a couple others that make appearances, but they're basically starting up their Hanna-Barbera shared universe, which is kind of cool. I wouldn't hate that. I don't think this is the way you should go about doing it, and I don't think you should just get Hollywood A-listers to voice characters that they have no right voicing. But it's because nobody respects voice actors. You know this.
Yeah.
They're the most disrespected career in the entertainment industry.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know who's been voicing Shaggy since Casey Kasem left?
No.
Well, he's dead now, but he retired and passed it over a while before he died. Was Matthew Lillard, who played Shaggy in the live-action version.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they felt he did such a good job of embodying Shaggy that he became the voice actor to replace him.
He did do really well.
Yeah, he almost sounded exactly like Casey did, right? And instead, they get Bill Hader, I think, is the one that they got to voice Shaggy in that Scoob movie instead of Matthew. I'm like, what? Why?
Man. No one knows why they make these decisions. I mean, we do, but...
Oh god, that actually just upset me more. I didn't know that. Buck brings us up. Tracy Morgan voices Captain Caveman and just talks normally.
No.
And I'm sure if he tried, Tracy Morgan at least could have a tolerable Captain Caveman voice.
Captain Caveman.
Yeah. You have to really drag it out. Caveman! Kind of like yodel almost. Like, I'm sure if he tried, he could do something that's like... you put an effort into it. We appreciate that you at least put an effort in, right? But talking normally, I don't want to hear Captain Caveman talk normally.
No. Especially as Tracy Morgan. Why?
Yeah, of all people, to just use their normal voice. Why Tracy Morgan?
That doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's so dumb. Why would they do it?
No.
What the fuck?
Actually, now I have to look at the rest of this cast. I want to, who else is horrible? It really pisses me off when voice actors just get shit on like this. Scoob. Let me look at this. No, it was Will Forte is one of the characters. I think that's the guy playing. Yeah, Will Forte was playing Shaggy, not Bill Hader. Mark Wahlberg played the Blue Falcon. You know, you got Marky Mark here playing the Blue Falcon. I don't.
Yeah.
Dick Dastardly was in the movie.
You can't say it.
I could say that all I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bit.
Zac Efron played Fred Jones. I could actually probably see that though.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'd prefer his actual voice actor playing him, but I could kind of see that one. Yeah, Dino Mutt was in it, obviously, if Blue Falcon is. The only one who had, their actual voice actor is that Frank Welker has been playing Scooby-Doo for quite a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who plays Scooby-Doo in the movie. It's the only person who has his actual voice actor.
That's good, at least.
Yeah. Who else was in here? Here's another thing too. They don't even have the same actors playing the young versions of the characters. It's a completely different set of actors. I think they got actual kids to play him instead of the characters acting like they're kids to play the young versions of Shaggy, Daphne, Fred, and Velma.
Well, I mean, isn't that the way it should be?
I don't know. Is it? Or maybe it's the fact that they don't have actual voice actors doing it, because good voice actors play young characters well all the time and you never even notice.
That's true.
In fact, you actually, for a movie it's not so bad because production's going to be done in 6 months tops for the acting side of it, and everything else is post-production, like editing, animation, stuff like that. Maybe you have to do a couple call-ins. But, for a series, you would actually prefer an adult play a child than a child, because the child might age out of their voice.
Yeah.
But if an adult can do the voice, as long as they maintain it, they're probably going to be able to do the voice indefinitely, since their voice is already settled into what an adult sounds like. For example, for 18 years, because for some reason Fairly Odd Parents ran for 18 years, even though it was only probably good for the first 4 or 5, you had Tara Strong voicing Timmy Turner. Same person.
Yeah.
Voicing a child 18 years straight. The same person who, about as long, maybe a little bit longer, a few years longer, right? 23 years now, maybe? The same girl voices Ash, or the same lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both English and Japanese versions have a woman voicing Ash. Masako in Japan has been voicing Goku since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Since the 80s. That. As long as you have a talented actor who can maintain their vocal cords, it's definitely much preferable to have an adult voicing a child than a child. But for a movie, it's not that bad. Like I said, it's 6 months production time for the voice actors. A lot of them, it's not even that whole thing. You, as a personal voice actor, might be there in a couple weeks straight, doing maybe 50 takes per line. It's just going to be 6 months collectively because of the number of people involved. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
so this child who voiced Velma, Ariana Greenblatt. I don't know what kind of name that is, but
Greenblatt.
Greenblatt. Yeah, it's Greenblatt. But this Ariana Greenblatt probably only was in the studio for a week or so, doing all her voices, and then they move on to the next person. Unless there was a scene where and then you don't do this as much anymore, but older shows and movies they did, we might have a scene where they want everybody, like all 5 of the voice actors, there together to do something in unison. And the reason you would have them there is because they're supposed to be doing it in unison and you want them to harmonize off of each other, because it's going to be hard to just find takes that happen to match up.
Yeah.
Henry
That's
Winkler
for
was
sure.
in the movie.
Who?
Henry Winkler. The Fonz.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah. Billy West. Fred Tatasciore. At least they had some big
fuck was
voice
that?
actors in there. What was what?
Oh, it's nothing. A fucking video started playing on another tab for no reason. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Ad block so bad they're starting to send ads directly to you even when you don't click on something. You know that's going to be the future, right? When everybody gets these implants and stuff, you're just going to be walking down the road and all of a sudden an ad's going to pop up in the corner of your vision.
People are fucking car crashes.
You know, this is also why I'm never getting implants. You're like, well, you can be hooked up to the net at all times. I don't care. Keep that shit away from me. I don't want people in my head. It's already bad enough I have to think about you.
True. Man. I am hungry, dude.
I am too. I had a roll before hopping onto the stream.
I made eggs in a basket, but the bread was bad. Like, it didn't have mold or anything, but when I ate it, it tasted straight up like alcohol. I was like, oh my god.
Breast implants or Wi-Fi hotspots.
True.
I think I couldn't imagine that working well. I mean, if you had like a full, like a Ghost in the Shell consciousness in a box, right? Then that'd be one thing. Like you could totally have a Wi-Fi hotspot inside the breasts. I don't know if an implant would work well for a Wi-Fi hotspot though.
Man.
And where would you get it from? Or would you like a cell phone? I guess you just, like the way you do your hotspot. And if that's the case, you wouldn't want flesh insulating it because that would dampen the signal.
You can't just say these things, man.
I could say whatever I want to say. This is the Vomitorium. This is our show, damn it. Oh, you want to hear something wild? I had another topic. It's like top of the hour, so we can move on to another topic. What is the most you've ever paid for a video game?
$60. Yeah.
Well, have you ever bought
I got like 80.
Package?
Yeah, I've gotten like the middle tier.
The middle tier, yeah.
Yeah. So not like the. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like $80.
Yeah.
Or something, or like 90 maybe. And
Or
you get like a metal case or some shit like that.
Yeah, or sometimes you see a completely unopened copy of Final Fantasy VI and it runs for $200.
See, now the most I'm going to end up spending is going to be anywhere from $200 to $300.
Yeah.
and possibly more depending on when it happens, because that's going to be Chrono Trigger.
Whenever you happen to see one.
Well,
I actually saw one
whenever I have the
recently.
money. Whenever I have the money.
Yeah.
My friend just bought it, actually.
Oh, yeah.
He just recently bought one himself. Because he has the money to do it.
Because I saw
But,
one at Retropalooza last time I went.
Last time I checked, they were like 120. Now they're like 230.
Yeah, how about $114,000?
Nope.
So this record for the highest that a video game has ever sold happened recently, where there was an online auction for a rare, never opened 1985 Super Mario Brothers cartridge, still in box, and a anonymous bidder paid $114,000 for it.
What the fuck?
Well, because this is super rare, right? I mean, how often do you ever see a original Super Mario Brothers not open? And this is like, there were multiple releases of Super Mario Brothers 2. This is the original release. Not like Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt or partnered with another game. This was the first launch version of the game. And people were bidding against each other, which kept driving the price of this up.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Until you hit $114,000. Which
Jesus
was, the previous record was $14,000 cheaper at about $100,000 even for a different copy of Super Mario Brothers.
Jesus Christ, man. Wish I had one of those.
Yeah. It's kind of one of the most important games of all time, historically speaking. Because
Yeah, true.
To the industry.
That's a big true.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think... Like, I've bought Legendary Editions, like what you were talking about before, like the middle tiers and higher tiers. I spent like $120 for Borderlands 2, but that's also because it came with a bunch of, like, physical swag and stuff.
Yeah.
Art books and everything. I think that's the most I've ever paid at once for a video game. I don't know if I would even be able to bring myself to pay somewhere upwards of $200, let alone something that is close to 100 times that, or 1,000 times that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And what do you even do with it? Because you're just going to leave it in the box. Nobody's going to open that up and play it.
It's an investment, dude.
Except for me. I would actually, if I had the money to do that, if I was just that filthy rich, I would buy it and then live on stream do an unboxing.
Oh my god.
Just to ruin the value. Just to really dig into everybody else who didn't get it.
People would
Pop
fucking...
it into my NES and just play it right there on stream. On like this
Man.
old fat box TV.
People would fucking maul, dude. They'd be seething, dude.
There
Oh
would
my
be
God.
reaction videos to this.
People get really mad when, like, people get rid of, what's it called? Actually, in RuneScape, there's items, famous items, like party hats and shit, which are no longer released. You can't get them.
Yeah.
So whatever's in the game is in the game. That's it.
Yeah.
And people make videos of them, like, getting them and then fucking dropping them until they disappear. Or, like, there's pumpkins and you can eat them.
Nice.
Yeah. And they'll go into, like, there's, like, a swamp where it turns food into, like, mush because gas, like, make it go rotten.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I'm pretty sure this was a Seth MacFarlane written episode, because you could usually tell which ones were his. And there was an episode of Dexter's Lab where he and his crew, which, if you paid attention to some of these episodes, his group of friends were basically the Big Bang Theory group before the Big Bang Theory was a thing. But it's like he and his crew were being dropped off at a convention for Star Trek, right? His mom drops him off. but they end up at the wrong convention floor. And instead of being like the Star Trek convention, they're at like a Barbie collector's convention.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember that episode. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a great episode. And they're like staying in character the entire time. And they need their dilithium crystal to get back, right? That's like, so they purchased this Barbie off the shelf. I think her name was like, they had some other name. It was like a Darby doll or something like that. Because, you know, obviously copyrights and everything. But they purchased their Barbie doll. And they ask, what would you prefer? Mint condition, not in a box. Or mint condition in the box, right? That never removed from box, which is NRFB. And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter, so we'll get the mint condition in the box, which would be more expensive, but whatever, right? And they buy it. For some reason, they have the money to buy this mint condition thing on them. I guess they came stock to do the same thing for Star Trek, and they give it to their like really more so than them socially inept loser friend, right? Who, like, I guess the best way to compare, I don't know, is this guy was feeling sorry for the doll that was trapped in the box. Like, that's how inept he is. So he opens it up to free her, right? I know, this is like if like Chekhov fell in love with some woman who was trapped behind a piece of glass or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So he goes to free her, and they hear the box open, which on these floor shows, anything that's in a box is designed to be not opened. It is supposed to stay in condition. If it's not in a box, they're not going to repackage it into one. So you don't have this like this manipulative practice of making people think that it was never removed from a box prior to this. And they hear this rip goes open, and all of these like really grotesque women, like the people that are here collecting these aren't like the prettiest women. They're all like oddly shaped. Some of them are overweight. Some of them have like manly jaws, and they're just going like NRFB, NRFB, and at some point they have to like challenge. Or I think they did this exactly in Star Trek before, but they get like the battle batons. It's got like the weight on one end, like a maul, and it's got like an axe on the other, and they're up on like the high wire. And Dexter's like having to duel this really massive, bulky woman. And that's what that thing's of. It's like, I'm gonna be that guy who rips open, and everybody online is just gonna be going NRFB, just foaming at the mouth and stuff, and people are gonna try to find the address so they can just like storm it.
Man, that'd be some shit.
Yeah, it's like straight out of a cartoon, man. Except with real world consequences.
Yeah, that would be bad. I don't know. I mean, people
like even knowing this, I would still fucking do it.
Yeah, people do that shit all the time where they buy like the fucking dull packs of Pokemon cards and open them.
Oh yeah, I would.
My mom always fucking calls during this. Like,
my mom tends to call too. Like, I'll quickly hang up, and she knows what the schedule is, and I'll hang up, and she's like, "Oh yeah, podcast day." It's like, it took you 2 seconds to figure that out. Why couldn't you figure that out before you called me? Why couldn't you just look at what day of the week and what time it is before deciding to make this phone call?
Like, oh my god.
What is one thing that you wish you had the money to buy to open just to piss people off?
Oh man, just to piss people off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. I have no clue.
Like, I think the thing that would piss the like widest margin of people off is if you happen to find like an original edition Optimus Prime toy still in the box, and then you decided to open that.
Yeah, I was thinking like that or like a fucking comic or something.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get like murdered, so.
It's like, yeah, I got this Superman. It's like Action Comics #1 or whatever. We're just gonna open that up. But everybody's like freaking out. It's like, what? It's a comic. It's supposed to be read. I
Well, I
can't read
wanted
it if
to
I
read
don't
it,
open
so.
it up.
Like,
Detective Comics issue 12 when Batman first appears.
like,
that would get you. That would get you some haters.
it'd be like opening art, you know?
Yeah.
Or like touching art directly.
With your greasy, oily fingers.
Yeah. Like, imagine someone, like, bought the Mona Lisa and just opened that bitch up and was like, just took out the paper and just put it on a fucking...
On the wall. Like with a thumbtack.
Yeah, with like a
like
thumbtack. Just fucking thumbtacks it onto the wall.
that
right
would be
through the
great.
painting.
Oh, that would be the
Oh,
best,
my-
man.
Dude, people would lose their mind. They'd probably actually get murdered. Like, I believe very well that they would get doxxed and killed for doing some shit like that.
It was just an earthquake ends up destroying the Sistine Chapel, but like the centerpiece with you know, Michael or God touching Adam, right? It's still intact. Somebody buys it, and instead of preserving it, they just like leave it in their backyard in the elements.
They just leave it on the fucking picnic table outside.
It's like, well, I don't have any room for this huge thing in my house. It's like if you could put it in a storage facility or something, in a museum, preserve it. It's like, no, just it's under the pavilion at least.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not in the sun or the rain. Some of it gets on it though.
Yeah,
There's
sometimes
bugs
when
crawling
it's
all
raining
over
real
it.
hard. When it's raining real hard, it will, but
There's still
you know.
wind eroding it too. Over. Just leave the freaking one of the most important pieces of art in Western history just out in the elements.
Yeah, fuck it, dude. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. Without trying to get killed. I don't know, something like magic cards or something.
Oh.
Some like really old magic boosters. Because that'd be fun to open as well for me. I would love doing that. That'd be
An
dope.
original VHS release of Gone with the Wind, the highest grossing movie of all time. Opened. That case was Gone with the Wind.
Speaking of opening things that never going to be made again. I really like watching MRE videos, like old MREs.
You're gonna have to explain to me what MRE stands for.
Oh, you don't know what MRE is?
I may
MRE is
I don't recognize
a
the
meal,
word, though.
a meal
okay,
ready. to
meal
eat.
ready. Okay, yeah. I thought I know what an MRE is in that case. I thought there was some like weird YouTube lingo for this.
No,
No, I've had MREs that you like eat when you're out in the wild and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, there's one guy in particular who's pretty fucking popular with this, and Steve, 1989.
Mhm.
And I love watching him. He's so calm, and he does it so well. And he tried some he tries them if as long as they're not like really bad,
Mhm.
like you know moldy and shit. Even sometimes when there's mold, he'll just like scrape it off.
Yeah.
But and he'll try a lot of the things, and
I
it's
try
pretty
not to
cool
eat
just
them.
to see. Huh?
I try not to eat them though. They're not bad, but they're designed to constipate you.
Constipate?
Yeah, because they're meant for soldiers, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on the march, if you're going from one place to another, if you're in the wild, in the woods, and all you have to eat are your MREs, they're designed to block you up so you don't have to use the restroom.
That would make sense.
Yeah, which is fine for the first couple days of camping, especially like you want to conserve your toilet paper or anything like that. But you need to poop eventually.
Yeah.
So I actually do try to just avoid eating them. Usually I save them for if we failed to catch dinner or something like that day.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't care, man. I know which leaves to use. I'd rather be shitting than not. Because, you know, the more you get blocked up, the harder it becomes to do the things you need to do when you're out there.
Yeah,
especially if
true.
you're, like, survival camping. So if you're, like, really, really blocked up, go out and hunt an animal or start a fire or something. Especially, you don't want to be blocked up and in that, like, crouching position where you're, like, on the balls of your feet trying to start a fire up.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. You squat where it's like your body's in that position where it wants to shit but it can't. And it's just like horribly uncomfortable and your gut is like kicking at you the entire time. It's like, no thank you.
Yeah.
I'll avoid that.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
that
that
would
point,
be
like,
awful.
bring some laxatives with you too. You have to like counterbalance it. Eat a lot of fiber.
Oh. Eat lots of
Lots of fiber.
lots of fiber. Man, I'm just out of it today, dude.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking hungry.
Are you ever in it though?
Am I ever in it? Yeah, sometimes. Rarely, but sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll believe you. I'll take your word on it. I'm not sure I've ever seen it, but I'll take your word on it.
Ooh. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I told you it's rare. But
What else are we going to talk about? Kind of burned through our topics. I didn't have much to talk about today.
True. I don't know, man. I had something and then it was gone. Fuck. There's just been like a whole wave of tragedy in this year.
Yeah, I usually don't like talking about the bummer stuff, but if that's all that there is
Yeah.
to talk about.
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk about it. I just, it just keeps happening.
But life ultimately is a tragedy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it all ends the same way.
And it's what's funny is it usually always goes like this, where by sometime through the year, people are like, "Oh, this year sucked. I can't wait for next year," or some shit like that.
This is
right?
going to be my year.
Or yeah, but like because they're like, "Oh, this year sucked." Like, "Oh, 2019
Every
sucked.
year's going to suck with that attitude.
2020 is going to be better." But
I'm here.
Hey, how you doing?
whoa,
I'm here to mix things up
mix things up.
Yeah, you got something to talk about?
since you're out of topics.
We are.
Sure are.
Well, let's go back because I missed the first half.
Yeah.
What were y'all saying about Castlevania series?
Oh, we were just talking about animated series in general. I was kind of a hater on it. Chris was the counterbalance to that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. So.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, that's why I was wondering is if you guys liked it because I thought that was fantastic. I thought Castlevania has been. I mean, I know it's still ongoing.
Well, my problem was just personally how much it deviated from Castlevania.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not much story. I mean,
that's what I was saying.
I guess there is.
The game doesn't give much story to base off of. They kind of have to make it up as they go.
Yeah, or at least the Castlevania
you get
game.
The basic character traits in the instruction manual to the game, though. It's like they didn't even look at that.
Oh.
Yeah, really? But I mean, they also called Samus he in the instruction manual. So
well, you could have looked at the Japanese instruction manual because they didn't in that one. That was the American.
Yeah, but I'm not Japanese.
Well, what did they miss specifically? Sorry if you already went over this. But
so in the original version, the Belmont clan hadn't been active for a while, but they had never been in a point of disgrace.
Oh, okay.
They were a noble clan that were given their charge by the Catholic Church to hunt monsters. There just hasn't been any monsters to hunt until Dracula came out.
Yeah, so they made was it Trevor in the show?
Yes.
Yeah, so they made Trevor a bit of a. I mean, they made him like an alcoholic and a scoundrel, and that wasn't exactly canon. But I thought it was an interesting character arc because they,
I liked it a lot.
Redeems himself. And now, what I thought was interesting was in the games there was never any kind of like intimation that he and Sypha.
No, there is.
That they got together?
Yeah, there's. If you look at the family tree,
they do confirm this if you play enough of the games. They talk about the tree and stuff. It's not just supplementary information.
Okay, because I guess I'm thinking more. I don't really remember much after Castlevania 3, and I feel like it's based mostly on Castlevania 3, at least as far as what characters are in it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
But they need to, taking Sypha, they need to take into account the rest of the series and how it's built onto 3's lore.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Because, especially if they're going to go into the other stuff afterwards. Because they're trying to start it like... It's technically not the earliest point in the series, if you count games that came later, but it's the earliest starting point if you go with like the original games.
Right. Yeah, and there's a game that takes place right after it, so...
So is Castlevania 3 a prequel? Is Simon a descendant of Trevor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he is.
I think Simon is later.
Maybe like his son or something?
Yeah.
Or
that's
later.
why it's important, because Sypha's kind of like considerably like the matriarch of the modern line.
Right.
This is basically, this is the core of where the story starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, they also made, in Captain N, the Game Master, they made Simon kind of an asshole there.
Yeah,
where he wasn't.
But Captain N, nothing was accurate.
Right. That's true.
I like that show because of how bad it is in many degrees.
Yeah.
Like, Captain N, Kevin's supposed to be the Game Master. He's like beaten these games. He even said that he beat Mega Man 2.
Right. But he seems like a beginner.
They're in Metal Man state, right? And he's like, I've never beat this stage. It's like, well, how did you beat the game if you never beat the stage? You have to beat all 8 of the Robot Masters.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cheer, man.
What did you think? Did you guys watch Voltron on Netflix?
I watched some of it.
We were talking about that too.
Yeah, I loved Voltron too.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
I
want to see
what it was.
It's great. I thought it was great. I mean, I'll tell you what. The last several, was it like 6 or 7 seasons, something like that. And the last couple of seasons, it kind of lost me because it got real complicated.
Yeah.
And I just kind of I couldn't even follow it. I mean, the way I watch Netflix, I'm usually doing something else while I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
And it just got too complicated, and I couldn't really follow what the hell was going on. But the first few, whatever 3 or 4 seasons, maybe just 2 or 3. Fantastic, highly recommend.
Oh yeah, it was way better
and I
than
like,
the last thing that studio did.
Yeah, and I like the new Pidge. I mean, gender swapping him to a girl. I thought that worked. I thought that was great.
I thought it worked too, but I also said with the caveat that anybody who liked the original version of a character has all rights to be upset when they change a character like that. I thought it worked for it, but it's like I'm not going to say somebody doesn't have the right to be upset.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But for me, I thought it worked. I thought it was great. It didn't bother me at all. I thought, I mean, you know, if you look back at the original, they needed another girl character. And he was kind of
like a girl in the first place.
Yeah, he was kind of a female or, you know, feminine kind of character anyway. So I thought it worked perfectly. Just for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as far as Netflix series go, I think those two, they did a really great job, and then, you know, screwed up everything else. But
well, so, like, Warren Ellis was the one who wrote Castlevania. Which, if you know anything about comics and stuff, he's been one of those guys that ruined a lot of his, like, characters. Deciding, like, I don't want them to be the way they've been historically, I want them to be the way I want to use them. So that's also why it doesn't surprise me that Ellis made Trevor the way that he did. And even Alucard, because Alucard... which I'll give more on Alucard than Trevor to what Chris was saying for the consistency. Of the two characters that was there, Alucard felt more like he would have gotten into that bro moment of the fuck you than Trevor would have.
Uh-huh.
But he still didn't act like Alucard, because Alucard, even in the other games, which you can use the other games as influence, they're going to have to tie in eventually, was kind of a character of class. But he was kind of like a character of Forsaken class, right? So he still acted in that higher class, but he didn't treat himself as if he was still in it.
The reason I think it works for him is it gives him because he is half human, it gives him a human element. While he does act higher in those games, like Symphony of the Night, for example, that's also like 300 years after this.
Yeah.
After what's currently being seen. So, I mean, it's a lot of time for, you know, development.
It is.
Yeah.
But,
they still do it. But, like, I do think you have to take those into account when you're forming your characters.
Especially considering he's actually only, like, what, 20-something?
Yeah.
At this point?
I think he's actually younger than Trevor.
Yeah. He's pretty young because, I mean...
Like, in the game, though, wasn't he supposed to be, like, 100 years old or something?
No.
No, this is like when he was still a little.
Oh,
Symphony of the Night, he's several hundred years old.
Right? Yeah, he's like 300-something years old.
Yeah.
All right.
But in this, he's literally like 20-something.
But that's also because Alucard never dies, so he's not getting resurrected like Dracula. So he actually goes through life chronologically.
Dracula, I fucking love the way they did Dracula.
Yeah,
I love his character a lot.
I didn't like how sympathetic they tried to make him as a villain, because that doesn't really line up too much with Dracula, but he had the class that Dracula's supposed to have. I can't complain about the character.
The reason I think it fits is because of his wife. It gave him a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think they had to fill out the characters one way or the other, give them more personality, and I can see objecting to some of the choices they made, but generally,
because Dracula's supposed to be a dick. If you play the games, like Dracula's just an outright dick. He's a classy dick, but he's a dick.
Classy dick.
Yeah, they definitely made him less that and more of a sympathetic character. Like, you could totally understand why he was doing. He's kind of, I mean, obviously he in the show he has an absolute, good reason to sort of go after the church.
Let's say he has
but then he just kind of kills everyone,
even if the reason's still not good.
Yeah,
like he's doing some horrible things. You can't justify it, but you understand his motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
and it's good to have motivations as a character.
As she died, she tried not to, or she tried to stop him or tell him to stop. But
it's kind of. I think it's interesting that he ended up being the more sane one compared to Carmela.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just like full bore, just total. What do you call it? Misanthrope. Just hates all of humanity and just for no particular reason, seemingly.
Well, it's like what I was getting at too is I don't like the way they depicted the Catholic Church in the series.
Yeah,
and
I mean it's kind of how it was though.
The Catholic Church was never painted as a bad guy in the Castlevania series, though.
Sure.
And like I understand, I think a lot of it is like I was saying before. People have this modern view of the Catholic Church and how it's always been a bad guy. And you could argue, through a lot of history, the Catholic Church has been a bad guy. Right? Like, as an entity, it's done a lot of horrible, horrible things. But there's also done a lot of good things, too, and it's kind of, like, wavered in and out. And for Castlevania, they actually paint the Catholic Church as if they're the heroes. I mean, the Belmonts are given their order directly from the church. They're given a lot of support from the church. It's kind of similar. A better parallel is that the Catholic Church is treated much the same way as they are in the movie Van Helsing. They're the ones that are supporting this crusade against darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would not have mind if they were only treating the local chapter of the church as the bad guys, because clearly the local chapter were the ones that caused the problem in that story.
Well, they kind of did, like.
But the language almost feels like they're extending it to the whole church.
Well, no, I mean, there was that one part where, in the first 4 episodes, where he's Trevor's setting up defense for the town.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Get me a priest, a real priest."
Yeah.
Because he was, saying that
guy's not a real priest.
Yeah, those other guys weren't real priests.
Yeah.
So, but as a whole, in his defense on why he hates the Catholic Church as a whole is because they got what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for?
Corrupted or?
No, they like exiled the Belmonts and shit.
Yeah. Well, that's my problem, right? Is like it makes sense within the setting, but that's not how it is in the games. Like that's like a liberty that was taken way too far. Just to be able to paint the church as bad people.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess, but it kind of works.
Well, because throughout the games, you're often constantly getting help from the church. Especially when you get to the Sorrow, right? Like Dawn and Arya, one of the people in the community that, like the small little team of people that are interacting and helping, is directly from the church.
It's, I think it's 2 different sets of the church.
It makes
excommunicated. That's what's the word.
Yeah, well,
it makes sense to me within the context
of the show.
Yeah. Because if you imagine they were demon hunters or whatever, and then there's nobody left to hunt, but they're still powerful and presumably revered by the populace, and the church is probably going to resent that.
Especially since they deal with magic.
Sure. But I hear you. It's different from the game.
But that's my complaint, right? It's not that that part doesn't make sense within the context of the show. I don't like that context of the show because of how far away it steers from the game.
I guess.
Like, you have to take some liberties, but the further and further you take the liberties, the less and less it is like the thing that you're basing it off of.
It's just another, like... It's another thing put there for development. There's not, you know, they're not given much from these games.
Why I was saying, because you missed the first half, right, Marsupial? We were talking about two other series that are on the chopping block for Netflix to handle. And one of them, the one that's actually going to happen soon, the other one's been in kind of like development limbo for a while. But the same production team that was working on Castlevania is also working on a Dragon's Dogma game by Capcom. Or Dogma animation, based off the game by Capcom.
Have y'all seen the Dragon Quest movie or whatever?
No, I was told it was pretty good. I just haven't had time to watch it.
Yeah, it was probably by me. I was saying it was decent. It was really good.
Yeah, I saw it on Netflix, but I didn't watch it.
I didn't like the ending. I don't want to spoil it for you because I do recommend watching it. The ending was a little but other than that, it was really good. Especially if you're a fan of the games. Yeah. It was very fan servicey. Had a lot of the music from the games and the enemies and stuff like that. And it was an interesting, unique story. It was really interesting because how do I put this? I don't want to spoil too much, but the games have like these time jumps, 20 years later or whatever, and they did kind of a thing like that. That was kind of unexpected, where I was like, oh. Okay, now we're jumping ahead. Like, interesting. So it was very true to the games and very good.
This actually has something to do with what I was just about to bring up and what we were talking about earlier. Is I think one of the reasons why Castlevania had so many liberties is not even the lack of material to go off of, because like I said, there's tons of material that you could pull that even explain that game more from the other games. Because there's a lot of lore that's like buried in there, and you don't have to dig far for it. This stuff is available on the internet very easily.
Yeah, I never understand why they sometimes just like totally rewrite the lore, and I'm like, you have so much to draw from, just use that.
But it's because Konami doesn't give a shit about their games. They're a holdings company, and they haven't really given a shit about their games for a while, right? Mm-hmm. With Dragon Quest, which is a Square entity, and Square they're really tight on their licenses. They don't even let people use things if they don't think they're going to use it properly. And Capcom, which is going to be Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry, if Devil May Cry ever actually comes out, Capcom's very hands-on when it comes to development of stuff like that. They usually send representatives to work on things as well. Which is why I think the Dragon's Dogma one will probably be more true to the story than Castlevania was. It's a problem of like how much investment the studio has with the property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other examples, like movies and stuff, where it's like, why did you deviate so? Why did you create so much extra work for yourself?
Like every live-action video game movie ever.
Mario Bros.
Yeah. Like, why did you make up all this extra shit when you already got so much rich lore?
Well, Mario Brothers, for example, and I've heard this, that it's not just a rumor, people have come out in interviews. The dude basically already had a script for a movie he wanted to write, and they kind of just forced it to work with Mario by like slapping Mario things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Yeah. And you could argue, it's like, well, there wasn't a lot of lore for Mario, but there's actually tons of lore for Mario at that point. By the time that movie came out, you'd gotten up to Super Mario Land 1, right? So there are three...
I mean, they had Daisy in the movie.
Yeah.
from Super Mario Land?
She was supposed to be Peach, but they didn't know
Yeah.
Peach's name at the time because she was just Princess P Toadstool.
Right.
They didn't know what the P stood for, so they thought it was just when it said P Toadstool that it was supposed to be short for Princess Toadstool. They thought Daisy and Peach were the same person.
Right.
But yeah, they had 3 NES games. We're not counting Doki Doki Panic. So 1, the actual 2 Lost Levels, and 3 in Japan. They did send a lot of material over for the movie, and then they had a Game Boy game.
You know, Bob Oms came from Super Mario 2.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did use some of that.
Well, but Bob
Doki
Oms were
Doki
also
lore.
in 3, so although they came from 2, you could
Oh,
ignore
I
2
see.
and still have Bob Oms.
I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. There's quite a bit of things from 2 that ended up in 3. But then working in an actual Mario context because 3 played more like 1 and 2.
But see, that's what I would worry about with like a Metroid movie, that they would just make up a bunch of shit and just like totally screw up.
Yeah, we actually were talking about a Metroid series because Castlevania and Metroid are very similar. They're the same genre of
Yeah.
gaming. Obviously, as a series, they would be completely different genres because one is
Oh yeah, that'd be way different.
historical
Or the-
fantasy and
They're both
Yeah.
dark though.
yeah.
Or
Both
Zelda,
dark
for that
games.
matter. I'd
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
be afraid that they would make up a bunch of crappy
We
lore.
already
Well,
have.
excuse me, princess.
Yeah,
We
At least-
already have Zelda.
yeah. Which I liked, frankly.
I did too.
We got
Like,
Mega
it's
Man.
horrible in many ways, but I love it.
You know, we got Mega Man.
We had
We
Mario.
got
Dude, I love the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Like, unapologetically.
They
And you
look
could
for
argue
anyone
that they
who's-
weren't bad because the modern personalities of the characters, since there was nothing back then, are kind of based off of the Super Show characters. Because, like, Luigi, there's no way of saying he was a scaredy cat before that because there had no personality. And then the show was what gave Luigi his modern, like, timid, scaredy cat personality.
True.
It's like the very first episode, they have to climb a mountain to go save Toad from Birdo. And Luigi's like, "But Mario, I'm allergic to mountains."
Gay Luigi.
He's like, "Okay,
That's the best part
you
about
can
it,
stay here in the cold by yourself." And he's like thinking, it's like, alone on a mountain? No, thank you. I'm gonna follow you guys.
Yeah, Buck makes a good point. They look for any excuse for Samus to be in normal military gear instead of her armor or
Oh
Zero
yeah,
suit.
dude, I would hate that.
Dude, if they did that, I would. Oh,
Rage.
I would start a fucking terrorist
Well, make-
group.
If you're gonna
It
start
makes no
martial in
sense
this
because
video.
she's a lone bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Well,
probably
yeah,
do
you
some
say that, but
purpose.
have you played Other M?
Yeah, yeah. They do like an origin story like that, where it's like, well, she started out in the military.
Other M's not canon.
It's not. Thank God.
But she didn't start out in the military.
No, she started out with her parents being killed, and then as an orphan being raised by aliens.
Right.
Yeah, and then that's where she got all her training. She wasn't a fucking. I mean, she did join after.
Yeah, and she works with like the Federation and stuff a lot, but as a contract worker. Actually, I think contract worker is a better description of her title than bounty hunter. Like, she is sent to go
she is a
and
bounty
kill
hunter.
things specifically, which is a bounty hunter, but it's usually on like government contracts and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It still counts as a bounty hunter.
Yeah, yeah. But I think if you wanted like a more specific description of what she is, she's a government contract worker. She's a private citizen that does jobs for the government.
Yeah, like genociding whole planets.
Yeah. She's a one-woman army.
She's basically Halliburton.
Oh, I
it's
mean,
great,
I don't
too,
think
because
they would do that. This isn't the
it gives you
'90s.
her personality, though, right? Because people think Samus doesn't have a personality. but she does, especially if you pay attention to like
Oh yeah,
different
she definitely
end-game
does.
screens, like depending on like your completion. There's I think it was Zero Mission when you beat it fast enough, you actually see her in her like it's called a tankini, it's not a bikini. But you see her in like her sports bra, short shorts thing in a bar chatting with people. She's actually a really relaxed kind of like dude, but she turns it off when she's on the job, right? She's business first, party after. Like you could get these glimpses of Samus's personality over time that you build this full character out of it. Like she knows how to be serious. She turns off any fun in games when she's on the clock, when she's actually in that heat of the moment, kill the person. But she can go relax in a bar afterwards.
Right.
And it's like,
You know,
you ignore this when they build these characters. Like, all these characters have personalities to them.
Yeah, I was actually watching a really good review retrospective of Other M. Oh, it was the Geek Critique on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Did a whole series on Metroid, which was really good.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And he did basically all of them, but his one on Other M was really good because it goes through all of the flaws and all of the
I did. I know who. I watched his one on Metroid 1, and I was very angry because all of his excuses, all of his complaints were that it was aged, and it was like, no shit.
Old game.
That's the it came out in 1986.
Yeah.
Of course, it fucking aged. That's the point. And but that's the thing is he wasn't saying that. He wasn't comparing it. Like he wasn't like it's a little bit aged. No, it's that he was making that. He was like making that like this game is loses points for being old. It's like that's not.
Well, it's like I think the game that has the most age controls is Metroid 2. But I'm not going to give points against the game because it was made for the Game Boy at the time that it
That's the
happened.
thing is you have to when you're doing that
if you
shit.
Want better controls. There's a remake of it now.
He actually did a more glowing review for Metroid 2 than he did for the original.
The original has better controls than Metroid 2.
I know, but his review of 2 was better. Although he didn't understand. Although in later episodes, he kind of went back and explained what he missed. He missed the whole theme of Metroid 2 being that the Metroids are destroying the planet.
Yeah.
Right? Because as you go deeper and deeper in, there are fewer and more powerful enemies. Mm-hmm. He couldn't understand why at the very end there's like nothing. Like
at the end there's nothing there because it's gone because the Metroid killed everything.
Exactly.
Which is one
everything
mistake they
except
made.
For the strongest things.
Right.
Which was the mistake they made in the remake is that they had enemies there, and it's like they're not really supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the original, like the very last area, there's no enemies at all.
Yeah, there's not supposed to be.
Something that the remake team missed. Who remade that game?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it was good.
And what's interesting is he did a review of the remake and made that point. He said they completely missed it. I mean, he missed it in his original review, but he kind of got it later. And he was like, "Yeah, they totally screwed that up."
I mean, it is subtle. It's not like talked about per se. It's something you have to catch yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Mercury Steam is the one that did the remake.
Yeah, it's a really subtle detail that can be missed, and that's understandable to an extent.
Yeah, well, it's probably because it's outsourced, right? So they did a good job at making a good game and capturing a lot of stuff. They missed the subtleness of the themes there.
And what's interesting though is that the fan remake AM2R,
it's excellent.
Did it better?
They did do it. That's the difference though, is that the fan remake was a passion project.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it was someone who loved it. It was as if like I made a fucking game.
Right.
on Metroid. Like Metroid's my favorite game. I don't know if you know, but
if you remade any game, you would probably just make like an HD version of Super Metroid that played exactly.
I don't even know if I'd do that. I'd be afraid to do that.
Right.
You know, the whole reason Metroid Prime took so long to come out, or like another Metroid took so long to come out after Super Metroid, is because everyone was afraid to do it.
Yeah.
There was they approached many like a lot of companies, and they were like, no, they're like, we're not doing that.
Too good. How do you follow?
They're like, they're like, yeah, exactly. They were like, we cannot follow this up.
Yeah.
But
anyway, his review of Other M was good, and he goes into the whole what was wrong with Adam Malkovich and that whole thing, and that that character kind of stole the thunder of Samus.
Yeah, I don't even have a problem with the idea of Samus having a level of PTSD. My problem is how it was handled, because what PTSD does is it inappropriately triggers your fight or flight reflexes, right?
Yeah.
And if you saw the thing that killed your parents that you thought was dead is still alive, you probably would have PTSD. But because Samus is a fighter, what it would do is it would trigger the fight reflexes and not the flight or the shutdown. And a good way to handle it would be to have parts of the game or in the story where Samus goes into a fury, right? Like into like a rage because her fight or flight reflexes were inappropriately triggered, and now she's like doing damage to things that she shouldn't be.
Yeah,
that would be more
or like accidentally kills the team or something.
Yeah, like a member of
I don't know about that. That would be bad.
That would be bad, but it would fit in the way PTSD would probably work with her.
In that point, the game would end up progressing to, or like story wise, where like she's fucking wanted.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Which would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool to have like she's a wanted bounty hunter.
Well, she wouldn't actually have to kill the team though, right? You could still get this off subtly, where maybe in the fit she accidentally clips somebody's arm or something like that.
Yeah, or triggers some kind of, like a cave in or something somewhere, and
you could have the development of eventually she gets over these fits of madness,
Yeah, I mean that would be a better way to do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to handle it to where it would be true to the character, instead of kind of like making Samus into a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, and I've said, like, it's interesting, as I said on Twitter once, like, that I didn't think that the team understood her character, and I got pushback that and I got pushback that, like, one of the, I guess the director was one of the original, like, had been involved in Metroid from the beginning, but the thing is, and what I found interesting about the Geek Critique was that he pointed out that yes, but this was his first director gig. He had never been a game director before that. And one of the mistakes that he made was in the American version, he had them acting Japanese. For instance, he had the voice actress for Samus do everything very monotone and very calm, which apparently for the Japanese is like stoic and kind of brave.
She's supposed to be a stoic character.
Right. But for Americans, it just came off as boring and sort of apathetic and not, and just monotone, and just didn't come off correctly.
Yeah, there was no cultural translation. Like, she should have had deeper, sterner undertones to her voice. Like, But he was directing her to do it in a very Japanese way, which just didn't work for American audiences. If you actually listen to the Japanese speak, in general, they're more monotone. The language doesn't have as many peaks and valleys as ours does.
Right. So it just didn't come off as well. So yeah, I mean, I think. So yeah, there was that mistake in the fact that this was his first directing gig, and I think y'all are correct in saying maybe he understood the character, but doesn't quite understand PTSD.
Yeah.
But regardless,
I mean,
mistakes were made.
I don't consider Other M canon at all.
Most people don't consider Other M canon.
I
I don't even think like the games that. Well, like, what would it be canon to? Because Prime and the 2D series are two completely different series.
They're same
universes
same.
are separated.
No, they're connected.
Oh, I was told otherwise.
No, they work on the timeline.
Oh, where do they fit in?
Where they fit in? I think the Prime series is after.
I thought they were prequels.
Yeah, they might be prequels. I had the timeline for.
Yeah, I'm
hold
gonna have
on.
to see that because it just doesn't make sense to my head right now.
Um,
I was always asserted that according to the Japanese studio, they were supposed to be two different series.
Maybe they kind of toyed with that.
They could have
idea
like
for a while.
retroactively changed that though. I mean, originally Zelda wasn't supposed to have a timeline, and then eventually, from pressure from fans, they just made the Zelda timeline, which they've changed a couple times already since they put it out.
Yeah.
And it's because it's like, why doesn't the timeline work? Because it was never supposed to be a timeline. They're just kind of forcing it to work.
yeah, no, Prime happens in between Metroid 1 and Metroid 2. All the Primes.
I think it's the only way it could work.
Yeah, yeah.
They have
That's what it
years.
looks like.
Yeah.
And then
Well, it's just because a
Fusion's
lot
the
of the
latest.
another reason why I've always thought that too, other than hearing that, is that a lot of the lore, like the things that you scan, could contradict things from the other series.
Yeah, which you're gonna get,
Yeah.
In a game series that spans many decades. I mean, you want to see contradictions? Look at the Zelda ones.
Mhm.
Those are ridiculous.
Which isn't a problem though, if there's not a timeline. If it was like the way they designed, and they were supposed to be like just like a troupe, and we're telling different versions of a fairy tale over and over again, then the contradictions don't matter. But if you're actually trying to force in a timeline, then they start mattering.
Yeah.
yeah, no, the official timeline is it's the same everywhere. It's Prime is in between
Yeah.
2 and 1.
Yeah, I guess that would be the only way it could work.
Because 2 and
Couldn't
Super
fit
Metroid
anywhere
are the
else.
same, like, fucking one after the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
What's interesting though is
And
that
Zero Mission is the first one, right?
right.
Zero Mission is just one remake.
Yeah,
It's a remake. Yeah.
Um,
Interestingly,
but
though,
they
I
treat
thought,
that canonically as if it's the first one. Like if you the story of one, it's the Zero Mission version.
oh yeah. I whenever someone asks me or they're talking about playing them in order, I always tell them like, don't. I'm telling them like, go play Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Like why not one? I'm like, well, because one's gonna punish you if you're not used to playing old games, and you're not really gonna get much story out of it.
But Zero
Like,
Mission
you can
gives
play
the
it if you
story.
want. I always tell them like, you can play it if you want, especially because like if you beat Zero Mission, you unlock it in the game. So,
so then
go
you can
for
play
it.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Is Fusion still the last one?
Yeah, I thought Fusion was right after Super Metroid, but apparently Other M, if it's canon, is in between.
yeah. It is after Super Metroid, but it's like 2 years later.
Yeah, Fusion is the last one on
Because
the
I
timeline.
thought Fusion was the last one. Where does
Yeah, and they were
Metroid Prime
supposed to make-
Federation Force fall into this?
I think it's the same.
In the same
area.
area
I think it's
that
like
the rest of the
around.
Primes do?
Yeah,
I
the
think
same
it's
time
like
as-
a Prime 3 around.
No, Prime 1.
Prime 1. Yeah.
Yeah. They put it the same year as Prime 1.
But does
Uh,
Hunters
I
take
wonder
place
where-
between 2 and 3 like it was released?
I wonder where they're going to put Metroid Prime 4.
No, Hunters is between 1 and 2.
1 and 2, okay.
4, I would. So back in the day, probably like 10 years ago, they were working on a sequel. Well, it would be a sequel to Fusion. It was supposed to be real fucking dark, like almost horror.
Well, you'd have to get Dark after Fusion.
And I don't know, they scrapped it. So
That might be 4. 4 might be like...
it could be.
Yeah.
It could be 4, which would be kind of cool, playing like a horror Prime game. I think that would be sick.
Well, Prime's already almost horror anyway, because it really leans into the isolation more than the other games do.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, even more so.
Yeah.
Especially with like the parasites and shit.
Yeah.
It could work really well. They have Nightmare in Other M,
Mhm.
which is,
Which is weird.
It was weird. And Fantoon, but I didn't get to that because you have to like do something special to unlock Fantoon.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
even weirder.
part of the story progression.
No, it's not. Yeah. Now, this is like, although I hated Other M's story,
I like the way it plays.
I really liked the gameplay.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
I really like the way that you control Samus. I mean, it would have been better with like a joystick, but I played with a Wiimote, so I was doing it with a D-pad.
Yeah, and the missile thing was weird.
The missile thing I did not like. I don't like motion controls. I think it's a shitty gimmick, and I hate them. But yeah, that's the like one part I didn't like.
You know what I like
Besides
better than
that, I
motion
really
controls?
liked the way it was.
I
Huh?
actually like the gyro controls. Right.
Gyro controls are really
Like,
good.
It started with the 6-axis, but also the Wii U and the Switch use it too. Playing Breath of the Wild, right? Using your stick to get like close to the right aiming, and then using the gyro control to get more precise
Cool.
is great. Like I'll just jump off a horse and use the gyro control to like pinpoint somebody right in the head with a bow and arrow.
Gyro controls are super good. I used them in Ocarina of Time for 3DS, and they're excellent. It's so much better than using a fucking stick.
Yeah, but I hate those. I hate those puzzles in Breath of the Wild where you have to tilt the
Those
thing
are super
around.
Easy.
Just
Oh
flip
my
it
God.
over, dude. Just
Well,
flip
you
it
should,
over.
I know,
actually,
but
I'll
I'm
send
like
you
flipping
the,
it all over the place. I'm like, God damn it!
I just flipped over the whole thing.
Right? That's what
Was
I
that-
did too, is just flip it over. But I'll send you a video, because I have a 52 episode Let's Play of Breath of the Wild that I did with my brother.
Oh yeah,
And I'll send you the episode where we got to the very first shrine that has that.
uh-huh.
And I think I did it on like the first or second shot after flipping it over and ever. But every single time, like, watch, because we're recording, I'm gonna fuck this up. This took me forever, and then I'll do it like one shot. Like the same with the the shrine that's basically putt-putt, where you have like the hammer and you have to hit it around and stuff. Like, man, watch me fuck up, and I do both of them in one shot.
Yeah. That one I didn't have any trouble with. But I'll tell you, it's weirdly, like the first time I played through the game, I don't think I had very much trouble with those shrines. But like every subsequent playthrough, I'm like, I can't get this thing to line up the way it's. I don't understand why I'm having so much trouble with it. Like I know I didn't have this much trouble the first time I did it, but for some reason I've lost my spatial reasoning or something.
Maybe.
We call that boomer brain. It's called getting older.
I guess, yeah. Well, like 1 year later, I can't do it. Like, what the hell happened to my brain?
That's
It's
why I
caught
can't
up
play
to me in just
StarCraft
that
anymore.
1 year.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, that's why I don't play StarCraft anymore. Boomer brain.
Yeah, it's actually a really good playthrough. Anybody listening, that you should look it up. It's on my gaming channel, The Metal God Game. And me and my brother go through Breath of the Wild in an unusual path. It was the path that I chose. Just I thought it would be the most entertaining way to do a Let's Play. And we did... we went and got the Hylian Shield first. Like, immediately off of getting off the plateau, we went for the Hylian Shield in the castle. Fight the Hinox. Then we hit up like a couple shrines on the way, because our goal was, after getting the shield, we were going to do 40 shrines, which is what you need to get. If you only ever get health upgrades, you need to do 40 shrines to get the Master Sword. They want
I thought
you
you
to
were.
get a third of the shrines.
I thought you were going to say after that you were just going to shield surf everywhere you go.
Oh, no, well, we did do some shield surfing. But yeah, we got the shield, because we didn't want to worry about our shield breaking, right? So we wanted to get like, and it lasts us the whole playthrough. I was even making jokes like, watch, it's gonna last us up until the Ganon fight and then break in it. It lasts us the whole playthrough. It was good.
Yeah.
And our goal was with 40 shrines, so we even went and got the labyrinths, where our main goal, we were just hitting up shrines on the way, so that we could get that Berserker the armor or whatever.
Yeah.
And we got the Master Sword, and then after getting the Master Sword, we pathed to do the actual story portion. So we did all 4 shrines, also or divine beasts, all 4 divine beasts.
Yeah.
We got the memories, and then we killed Ganon. So that was our path, and we did that in like 50, 20-minute episodes.
Did you do the DLC?
No, we did this before the DLC was out, so we never got
okay.
around to it. We never went back and did that. Pretty much.
That's the other thing. They actually, in the DLC, they actually made the, the Blight Ganons actually difficult.
Well, you have to, because they assume you already have the Master Sword by then, no matter what.
Well, no, that's part of how they made it difficult.
Yeah.
Have you not played the DLC?
No, I have not. I never got around to it. I have them.
Yeah.
Like, I started the first DLC, like the Master Sword upgrade thing. But I never finished that. And like, other things just kept coming up.
Yeah, no, in the DLC, they take everything away.
Oh,
They give you have to do a harder version of each of the Ganon blights, but then they give you like really weak armor and weapons for each one.
So it's kind of like going to Tide Island.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not quite to that degree. They don't take everything away, but they only give you
a challenge that's set up.
Yeah. They only give you fairly weak stuff, and it makes it very challenging. Yeah, especially the Thunderblight. The Thunderblight one is so hard because whenever I do Thunderblight, I usually get all of the rubber armor and upgrade it.
Yeah.
So basically, he can't shock you at all.
Yeah.
So doing the DLC was very, very hard because you don't have that anymore.
Oh, see, I think, when I fought the Thunderblight, we just, on stream too, we just went in there and had the Berserker armor, the Barbarian Warden, whatever it is, that gives you the boost of strength, and just went in there raw, because it's actually a very easy boss once you know the pattern. All of them are easy. I don't think there's actually a hard boss when you have what you want to do, right?
Right.
Obviously, it's probably hard in the champion versions because of the restrictions they give you, but
yeah,
it's actually a really easy game if you just take your time.
Yeah.
Much like Dark Souls, it punishes people who are impatient and just run. Which is funny. If you watch our playthrough, I think I died once throughout the whole time. I was like our first death because I did something stupid. But other than that, I never died. All of our deaths were pretty much my brother, because he would like run in and then do like a jumping attack and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like into like 5 enemies and then die.
Yeah, what's funny, my girlfriend, her favorite thing is to do sneak attacks. Like she loves the sneak attack thing that does like double damage or whatever.
Shot a lot of things if you were.
Yeah, and I completely forgot that you could even do that. I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. And she's like, are you kidding me? I use that all the time.
Yeah, so you can walk up and hit Y, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Especially if you have the Sheikah suit, because then nobody can hear you. You're just sneaky, sneaky.
Yeah. Which would be useful in the in some parts of the trial of the sword.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was gonna go back and do it because I started it, and then I lost that save data, so I had to start over. I've played through Breath of the Wild all the way like 5 times now, like of the original thing, not the DLCs. And by the time I had gotten to the end, to the point where like, okay, I got I did everything I did before. I'm ready to go do the DLC stuff. Just other things would happen. I'd put too much time in this game. It's like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah, Buck was right. They give you the champion weapons. That's what it was. So, yeah, for the Thunderblight one, they give you the Daybreaker shield and that sword and everything.
Yeah,
so.
I don't use the champion weapons. I just
I don't either usually. But in the DLC, that's all they give you.
Damn. It's been so long since I played. I don't remember shit about that game. I want to play it again.
Exclusively use the Master Sword every other 10 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna have to. Well, unless it's saved, I still don't know how much is saved in the cloud. But when I get a new Switch, because I had my Switch stolen, so when I get my new one, I will have to see if my save games are still there or what.
Yeah. How much did you play, Chris?
I beat it.
Oh, you beat it? Okay.
I beat it. It's just I haven't beat it since I haven't played it since it came out.
Yeah.
So
that is a really good game. I have a lot of gripes about it, comparative to the series as a whole, but it's still like a super good game that I'd recommend everybody play.
yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. I love it.
I hate the weapon system so much.
Yeah.
Like my biggest gripe about that game is the weapon system. Especially because, like, I've seen people try to defend the durability system in really dumb ways. Like, it's like, well, it forces you not to get attached to a single weapon and to try using different weapons against different monster types. Like, okay, one, there is very few, if any, creatures that a specific type of weapon actually gives you advantage against.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to do that on purpose because there's no way they can guarantee you have the right weapon at any point in time since they break. That actually, the fact that there is a durability system flies in the face of that defense of the durability system. It's like really, like, there are ways of defending. It's like Nintendo was trying something new for them. They were trying something unique. That's a good defense. You may not like it, I may not like it, but at least they were trying something. It's all these dumb, like, running to the defense of something without having a good argument that people do. It's like, no, dude, it's bullshit. That's all it is.
Yeah, I can't really defend it at all. I mean, I think there should be a durability system. I don't know if it should be like that. Not where it just fucking breaks.
Yeah, where like some of the best weapons in the game breaks as easily as a twig does.
That's like, that's at least if you're gonna break the weapon, let me repair it. Don't just
And you have
it's
a
gone.
toss button, right?
Huh?
There's a toss button, like you could throw weapons. So in the
Yeah, but it,
inventory,
like,
all they
fucking
needed
destroys
was, like, yeah. Instead, they should have had like a broken weapon in the inventory. Like it's this weapon but broken, right? Like damaged, and you can't fight with it. And you could choose to either keep it to repair it, or you could use the only attack you could do is use the throw button, which actually would permanently break it if you hit somebody with it. That would be a much better option than just the weapon shattering no matter what. I also do hate that the toss, even if a weapon is like fully durable, throwing it at something automatically breaks it.
Yeah.
It does like 3 times the damage if you manage to hit somebody with it, but still, it's like that spear had all of its durability. Threw it at the guy, shatters. That's dumb. That's just dumb. There's no defense on that. But the rest of the parts of the game are great. Like the exploration, I love exploring Hyrule.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there were more actual dungeons. I think that was like, you have all these shrines, sure, but the shrines are kind of like grottos more than anything in the old games.
Yeah.
Like the caves and the grottos. I wish there were more like actual dungeons. You only get like, you could possibly count 6 dungeons, right? You've got the 4 divine beasts, you have the Yiga hideout, and then you have the final dungeon, which is Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
That's about what you get dungeon wise. And then you could argue the DLCs kind of give you more of a dungeon, because the Master Trials are kind of like ordeals and stuff like that. But in the base game, you get 6 dungeons in this huge map. They
I wonder how they're going to do a sequel.
Yeah.
If they're going to do it the same way. I mean, I'm sure they'll change some stuff. But, I mean...
I miss my items. That's what I miss. You have your runes, but... this is probably why I think A Link Between Worlds is actually a better game than Breath of the Wild. Because even though it's mostly a remake of a game, it gives you that freedom and option in a way that feels more like a Zelda game. Because you could just rent these items, or if you're an asshole like me, you can sit in the bushes and grind up rupees for hours until you can buy all the items and then just go wherever you want without worrying about losing if you die.
Yeah. and then you grind for my and upgrade all your items.
I love Link Between Worlds, but a lot of people didn't play it because it was a 3DS game.
Oh, I love it too. It's definitely one of my favorites, and it had absolutely my top 100% favorite ending.
Yeah,
all the Zelda.
That was a good ending.
I haven't played it. I have a 3DS.
You should.
It's literally the only Zelda game where the ending made me tear up. It was so good.
Yeah, and for a game that is functionally, in many ways, a remake of Link to the Past,
Yeah.
it is also very much its own original game.
Oh, yeah.
It not just having the painting mechanic, but the story is following the same beats, but entirely different than a Link to the Past story.
Yeah. You know what? And this is stupid of me because I don't know why, but I didn't get the connection between Ravio wearing the bunny outfit
And
the
the
fact
Link
that-
in the Dark World having the pink bunny
Yeah.
head. Yeah.
in A Link to the Past turning into a bunny. That I just didn't make the connection.
Yeah.
So until later.
Well, when the big reveal, that's probably when it hit you, right? Or is it even after that? Like,
No,
when
it
you
wasn't
were done
until
playing the
like
game?
it wasn't until years later when someone pointed it out to me, and I was like,
wow.
"Ah, of course." I mean, obviously, I wasn't like thinking about it since then, but it never occurred to me until someone pointed it out.
Yeah.
Probably that reviewer guy. But
Man, I wish there was I guess now you can emulate 3DS games. It took a while before that was pretty solid. But I wish there was like an easier way to capture 3DS games, because I would like to not have to emulate. And
speaking of which, Citra is an awesome emulator.
Yeah.
Citra is a 3DS emulator. Works great with almost every game.
Really?
Yeah, check it out. Citra, Citra. But I actually, I'd been playing Citra with Joy-Cons connected with Bluetooth to my computer, and there was this annoying lag. So, like, I couldn't play Samus Returns because it's such a fast pace. You have to have lightning quick reflexes.
But you have that 8-bit dough now.
Yeah, and there's no lag.
I also do.
Yeah, so I just got that 8-bit dough, and there's no lag. So I'm like, awesome! I can play Metroid now.
That's sick. I didn't even know that there was a fucking emulator. You know what I really wish there was an emulator for?
What?
Xbox. The original Xbox.
I bet there is.
There is, but it's so poorly optimized. It's like trying to do that is like trying to use Dolphin back in like 2000.
Before they optimized Dolphin.
There's a really good PS1 emulator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's good PlayStation ones.
Yeah, it was there's PSX, which is
Yeah, PSX is good. But besides that, like Xbox, I don't know. I don't know if like just the source code isn't out there or what.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised that Microsoft isn't trying to make a ton of money by just porting these old Xbox games into the Windows Store as apps.
I would love that.
They're like, you know how much money they could make just doing that? Put Cameo on there. I want to play Cameo again. Just put Cameo on the Windows Store. I'll buy it.
I mean, there's
Conquer Live and Reloaded. I'll buy that one too.
Same, especially if they have multiplayer.
Oh, if the
Like online
worked
multiplayer?
online. Oh, we need it. We need to start. Microsoft has a Twitter account, right? I'm assuming like everything's got a Twitter account. This is a campaign, okay? Anybody listening, I don't know. We need a hashtag for this or something. But our campaign will be to spam Microsoft maybe they have a specific one for their gaming division that we can get this done, but we will spam Microsoft until Conquer Live and Reloaded is ported to the Windows Store with fully functional online multiplayer.
Mouse and keyboard.
This will be
controls.
our mission. Yes, with mouse and keyboard.
I was about to say there is an Xbox emulator called Xeon, but apparently it only plays Halo.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I'm saying, dude. They're like,
Why do you need an
almost
emulator for
not
Halo when
existent.
you could just play Combat Evolved?
yeah.
Or now
you
you
know,
can actually just play the remastered version.
Speaking of the remaster for 2 was incredible. I mean, 1 was really good, but 2 was like, holy shit. They remastered all the cinematics for it too, which is like insane. If,
Wow, I'm shocked.
huh?
I'm shocked that there are no Xbox emulators.
Yeah, dude. Trust me, I've tried.
Here's one that's not an emulator. It attempts to convert a game into a Windows executable.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and probably a lot of people have done that, right? If you go like the Pirate Bay, you could probably just find executable versions of the games. The reason it was called the Xbox is because the original name was the Direct Xbox. It was trying to run games through DirectX like a computer would. So a lot of the games are probably pre-formatted to work on a computer. They just need to be adjusted to do so.
Yeah.
And you also have to have the right version of DirectX. That's the problem, right? That you might need an executable to bump it up to the modern version of DirectX.
Yeah. And like the only Xbox 360 emulator basically says compatibility is really low with only a few games playable.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, dude.
You look under PlayStation and then there's like a dozen.
I think it's just maybe, like I said, I think it might just be source code.
It might be a problem too, yeah. But the source code is primarily just, here's an operating system that runs DirectX and tells the game to execute.
Yeah, but I mean,
Xbox. 360 is a lot different, but the original Xbox, it's pretty much all that system did.
yeah. Like Nintendo's like super proprietary, and yet there's emulators for every system they ever made.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy.
It might also be the demand from the community too, right?
I guess. Well, I'll tell you, Citra is amazing.
Yeah.
It works so well, and it's actively being developed. I have mine set to download the latest, nightly builds, and they have nightly builds every night. So I mean, they're constantly improving.
Need to get that. I really do.
I installed it while we were talking shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up our stream because I'm the one hosting it.
Understandable.
But I would,
And
if I find the time, I would love to do a Let's Play of Kid Icarus because I really enjoyed that game. I thought that was the best game for the 3DS.
It works great for streaming too, because you can just, like, sometimes some games when I've streamed from Citra, I'll just show like the main screen.
Yeah.
But you can also like break it up into 2 separate screens and put them in different places, and in OBS or whatever.
Oh, I have no problem even if it's the same executable doing that. I did I started a Let's Play. I've actually only ever finished one full game, like, on a Let's Play. I've started a lot of them. Breath of the Wild is the only one that we've done from beginning to end. But
Yeah.
I did start Animal Crossing Wild World at one point, which I knew was not going to finish, because how the heck do you actually finish that game?
Yeah, there's no finish.
Well, technically, it's filling out your catalog. But good luck with that.
Yeah, in a couple of years.
Or a lot of time traveling.
True.
It becomes more tedious and monotonous than fun at that point.
Yeah, I've streamed New Leaf out of Citra. Actually, that was the one game stream where I got the most viewers, live viewers. It's crazy.
But like I built my own layout and everything with 2 different boxes, like one for my webcam, so there's 3 boxes, one for the top screen, because that's not the important screen in that game, and one for the bottom screen, where I could have switched if it was some other game.
Yeah, and you can do in Citra, you can do a horizontal or vertical. Obviously, if you're live streaming it, the horizontal layout works better if you're going to show both screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll probably just make a layout and do it my own way anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I said, split them up into two. It also does. It's really cool. It'll upscale, so you can do like up 3 or 4 times. I mean, it'll basically upscale it to HD, and I don't know how it does it, but it actually upscales the graphics.
Can Citra play DS games too? Regular DS games?
No.
No.
There's
Yeah,
a really good what's the name is DS Sume, so it's like Desume, but it's the DS that plays DS games really well.
Yeah. Citra.
That's how I played the Phoenix Wright games.
Yeah, Citra is strictly 3DS.
Gotcha.
Although, actually, was it? No, you know what? I've modded a 3DS to play. Well, it should play DS games anyway.
It should, because the 3DS naturally plays it. That's what he's asking for.
What was it that I? It probably was because I know I modded my girlfriend's 3DS. I think it was so that it could play like whatever images, so I could download DS games.
I think some of the best emulators are the ones that do play multiple systems because of the base system did that. So Dolphin's great because you can play GameCube games on it. Right?
Yeah.
But Dolphin was also upgraded to play Wii games eventually, so instead of needing a completely separate emulator for that. And then
I'm actually.
You also have the Game Boy game. Which one is the one I use? There's some Game Boy Advance emulator that I have, and instead of getting a separate Game Boy Color emulator, you just play all your Game Boy games through that one as well.
Yeah. Well, you know what I did was I modded my SNES Mini so I could play Game Boy games on it.
Yeah.
And NES games, for that matter.
You know what would be cool?
Yeah.
Is if for the SNES Mini, you'd have a way to force it to run the Super Game Boy, and then run your Game Boy games through that. It would probably take an extra hacker or whatever to do, but
I bet you there's a mod that can do that because when you mod it gives you a downloader where you can download all kinds of emulators. I bet there is one.
Yeah,
you could probably get a
Super
ROM
Game Boy is
hack
the
to do it.
coolest fucking thing.
I have one. I have a Super Game Boy.
Did
That's
you
what
have
I played
portable
Metroid
SNES
2 on. No, I wanted to get one.
Oh, you were gonna, but you didn't. Because that'd be
Yeah,
funny
I
if you were
really
getting
wanted to get one.
You could just play a Game Boy, right? But then you're like some weirdo who's like, I got a portable version of an SNES, put a Super Game Boy cartridge in there, and then a Game Boy game to play this Game Boy game on the go when I literally could have just put it into a Game Boy.
Well, I don't have a Game Boy, so I gotta, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You don't own a Game Boy? I have a Game Boy.
I haven't.
The original Shantae for Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
They're re-releasing it, so they're releasing it for, I think, Switch. Like digital, but they're also making new cartridges and selling them.
Nice. I actually have always wanted to own a cartridge of it. I've played it
so
because a friend owned it, but never.
If you have a Game Boy Color, I'll have to look up when they're releasing that. But they're releasing the original Shantae and I think Risky's Revenge.
Yeah. I don't think I own a Game Boy Color. I might somewhere. I have to look.
Limited Run. Look up Limited Run Game if you're interested.
Yeah.
Limited Run Games is actually making new Game Boy Color cartridges.
I think I still have a functioning Game Boy Advance somewhere.
That's crazy.
I could play on that.
And I'm sure it's a limited run, so they may already be like pre-sold out. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah.
But they're also releasing them for the Switch, which is awesome. I don't think I ever played the original two Shantae games.
It's on the 3DS eShop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have it.
But it's going to be on Switch.
Yeah. Which is weird.
I
So
love
there's
Switch.
no eShop on Switch. So it's an old game, but it's going to be on Switch because they're reporting it as a new game, so it's not an eShop game.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. No, but that's funny. Like, you can still do that if you are the owner of the game's license.
Right.
You just have to port it as a new executable. They're not doing
Right.
the whole virtual console. They don't do that anymore. Right.
Right.
I miss the
Yeah,
virtual
it's
console.
not good virtual.
The virtual
You're gonna
console
buy
was
it.
great. They need to bring that back.
Yeah,
That was
totally.
like the biggest complaint. No virtual console on the Switch? What?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like they've got a few games for NES and SNES that they release them so slowly.
Yeah.
Like 2 games every month. It's crazy.
At least they don't take away the old ones, though. They're just building a library.
Yeah, but very slowly.
Yeah. They got Star Tropics.
That's true, and I played it on there.
Yeah.
I never played Star Tropics, but I always see it at like
Games
old
Quick and
games.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
They also got
no,
Crystallis,
old game stores.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Crystallis?
Yes.
Yeah, I played that through beginning to end when it came out on Switch.
I used to own a copy of that game.
Oh, I did too. I was like, oh man, I remember this game. It's been so long, and I just hadn't even thought about it for so long.
Yeah, we were like slowly recollecting our old games. Like when we went to Game Over like a couple years ago, and I have like a functioning, maybe 2. I had 2 functioning NESs. I don't know which one of them functions, if either do. But
Yeah, I've got all the Nintendo consoles, but I don't like I've lost a lot of my games or sold them or
that
something.
was the problem. I lost most of the games, and my mom wanted to play one. And when me and my brother were at Game Over, which here in Texas, I think it's only in Texas right now, but there's a bunch of companies like this all over the place. Game Over specializes in retro games. Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze. Anyway, so
Yeah.
and we saw Legacy of the Wizard there, which is kind of like an obscure game, but enough people know about it, and it was like one of my mom's favorite games, so we had to go pick it up, and it was funny watching her. She was never good at games in the first place, right? You know, some people just aren't good at games. Period.
Yeah,
But now that she's older, she's even worse than she used to be. So we're watching her play this game that she hasn't played in probably a good decade or so since we've owned this game, since we lost it. And she hasn't played it in maybe longer than that. Struggling to like get places and navigate and getting lost in this kind of like a labyrinth of a side-scrolling dungeon. It's pretty funny.
What do I do? Where do I
And
go?
then she's asking us, like, how do you do this? It's like, I don't know. You were the one that used to play this game. Why would we remember this?
It's like when big streamers are playing like a brand new game,
Yeah.
or like a game that they have like early access of, and they're like asking
the
chat,
audience,
like, "What do I
how
do?"
would they
It's
know?
like, fucking.
You have access to this game. We don't.
What do I do here? Question marks.
It's like Marsupial Smart. He, for the most part, only plays old games. So if his audience, if he needs help, they know.
Oh man.
yeah. I started that Oracle of Ages, but for some reason I have been struggling to
Stay alive.
get myself to play it again. I just don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't like Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons.
I love those games.
I don't know why. I love Link's Awakening, but for some reason Oracle of Ages just rubs me the
Because
wrong
it's not
way.
Link's Awakening.
I guess.
They weren't
Yeah.
designed to be the same games. Like, it's not just following suit.
Yeah. I can't get myself to play it again. I got to get back to it, but
Yeah.
I was just like, ugh, I don't want to. Don't like
Hey,
it for
you
some.
could be playing Wand of Gamelon.
Ugh, God. Horrible.
Or worse, Faces of Evil.
I should. I like. I like Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, Spirit Tracks.
A lot of people. Yeah, I don't. A lot of people don't like that, but I like Spirit Tracks. I've played that.
I like Spirit
Several.
Tracks more than Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah, me too. But God, I don't know
I
why.
haven't played either of them. I haven't played fucking Wind Waker. I haven't played Twilight.
I don't understand people's obsession with Wind Waker. I'm like,
I don't
It was
understand
fun.
people's obsession with Twilight Princess.
oh, I love Twilight Princess.
I think you and I are the opposite on this one, and I was even criticizing Twilight Princess on your stream.
Oh, yeah. See, I love Twilight Princess, but everyone's like, "Oh, Wind Waker's my favorite." I'm like, "Why?"
Well, my
It's
favorite is
not that
Majora's Mask.
Ugh.
Well, it's between Majora's Mask and A Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, I like Majora's Mask a lot more than I like Wind Waker.
I still haven't beaten Majora. I've barely played Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask is
Uh-huh.
probably
I have it on my
the
3DS too.
most difficult fair Zelda game. Because I'm not going to call the CDI games fair. They're not
True.
programmed well. But of the fair Zelda games, I would say Majora's Mask is the most difficult. Because the entire world is like one big puzzle that you
Yeah.
have to solve. And people are like, well, you just do the dungeons. It's like, you can kind of just go and do the dungeons. Though if you're doing it that way, the fourth dungeon is really going to fuck you up. And then you could just do the moon. Go straight to Majora. You don't have to do the side stuff. But if you're really trying to beat that game properly,
Yeah,
you have to do the Bomber's Notebook.
yeah.
And that turns
It takes
the whole
it takes a
game into
lot
puzzle.
of patience.
Yeah.
That game takes a lot of patience because, yeah, you have to meticulously, like, take notes and figure out every little puzzle.
I wish there was a metric in there that it would tell you how many times you reset the world. Like how many times you went back in time. Because I would guarantee you that the average playthrough, people reset the world more than 100 times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can we
People have a
talk
lot
about
of-
difficulty for a sec?
Sure.
What about difficulty?
So, last night two of my friends got into it real bad. Like, insulting each other and shit, pretty much. Because, my friend was playing through Halo 2 on Legendary. Now, for those that don't know, Halo 2 is the hardest one in the series on
Oh,
Legendary.
yeah. By far.
But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you're gonna play on Legendary, you should expect the game to be really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Because it's Legendary. That's the point. It's supposed to be a trophy. Like if you
So
beat
was-
it, that's bragging rights.
Was he complaining that the hardest difficulty was hard?
Yes, he was complaining
What?
that it was too hard,
Then go play
and
on
he
the
was
easier
blaming the
difficulty.
developer. He was blaming the developers for it, which rubbed me and my friend the wrong way. My other friend,
If
because
anything, I complained
that's
that
your own
Legendary,
fault.
The first one's not hard enough.
that's what we were saying. So this now listen. He was saying that it was more balanced than the first one. We were like, no, Halo 1 is just way fucking easier.
Yeah.
So that's not, that doesn't make the developers bad for Halo 2 because it's harder. Oh, it doesn't make sense. It wasn't hard enough in Halo 1, so they made it harder in Halo 2.
The normal mode is still really easy. Why is he complaining?
I was like, we'll play on, because he was complaining about it, and I was like, well, that's why I play through on Heroic.
Yeah.
Because Heroic is still a challenge, but it's not like I want to rip my fucking hair out playing it. It's fun. It's a fun challenge. Legendary is not a fun challenge unless you're playing it with a friend.
Well, not in two.
Playing solo
In one
Legendary.
One
Well,
was a
yeah,
fun
yeah.
challenge, but
But the
two's
rest of
fun.
them,
Yeah.
playing Legendary is not fun unless you're playing with a friend. And he was getting so like he the one who was saying that who was complaining about it is the one who started off with the insults. But like, it was ridiculous because we were like, that's not a good reason to like. He was saying that the developers are bad and it was their fault, and it was like, no, like that you did this to yourself. You picked Legendary knowing very well that it was going to be extremely hard, especially in 2 because of the fucking Jackal snipers. They
Yeah.
literally one-shot you. Like, this is a known thing.
Like that'd be like playing Devil May Cry on Heaven or Hell, or even Hell on Hell mode, and then complaining that it's hard.
Exactly.
Like, you know what you signed up for.
Exactly. Like he's blaming the developers and saying that it's unbalanced and that Halo 1's more balanced because it's doable. And it's like that's not it. That's a really bad take.
Yeah, it's like Buck, right? Who's usually the audience. And I live with him currently. He doesn't play games on harder than like the medium difficulty most of the time, and that's okay, because that's how he enjoys the games. He doesn't want to put himself through a frustrating time.
Yeah.
But he's not going to complain that the harder difficulty exists.
And what's
it's
funny
just not
is
for him.
what doesn't make sense to me is that a week or two ago, he was playing through all the Mortal Kombats, and he purposely wasn't picking the hardest difficulty because he knew it was bullshit.
Yeah.
So, literally, my argument is what he was doing prior, and he like refuses to do it with Halo. Like when he told me originally he was gonna, because I started playing through all of them, and he was like, "That's a good idea," and he wanted to do it too because it's been like over a decade for both of us. And when he said Legendary, I was like, "You sure you're gonna do that, dude?" I was like, "It's kind of unfun." And he's like, "No, I gotta do it." And then he starts complaining about it too, and I was like, "Dude, that's such a bad take. Like,
yeah,
you can't complain about a difficulty that you can choose. That's just,
yeah, because
it doesn't make sense.
It's not like me. I actually have fun in those grueling, challenging things. Like, as unfun as you would say, despite 2 being the hardest, I would be having fun playing 2 on Legendary by myself. Because I like putting myself in those circumstances. I'm the type of asshole that plays like the Touhou series, right?
Yeah.
Bullet Hell. I only play those games on Lunatic.
Fuck that. Like,
but that's just the type
I like
of
to work
gamer
myself
that I am.
up to them.
Yeah.
I like to work myself up to them.
I'll hop in them and I'll just keep dying over and over until I get it. But that's the type of gamer that I am. Like, that's how I enjoy those games.
That was another
but
thing is he was saying how they brought up Dark Souls because he was saying how Dark Souls is called what's it called artificial difficulty because you have to die to learn, but he was saying it wasn't. But then he was technically all difficulties are artificial because games are artificial. But the thing is, he was saying that's the argument that a lot of people make, like people on like Reddit and on V, and just that's the argument that they make against Dark Souls. Those are like the haters.
Yeah.
But
I argue that the Dark Souls games actually aren't difficult; they're effersome. But I also have a specific definition for what difficult is.
Yeah, that's your own.
Yeah, Dark Souls is a memory-based thing, and but anybody can learn it eventually, right? It is that's trial and error thing.
So that's what people are calling artificial difficulties if you have to memorize things.
Yeah, I just call it effersome.
But the thing is, he was like, no, that's not artificial difficulty for Dark Souls. But then calling it artificial difficulty for Halo 2, when he was like, no, now I have to memorize where the jackals are. And it's like, so you're literally killing your own argument.
Yeah.
And it was just like...
Especially now that you're explaining it too, I really dislike the term artificial difficulty. That's a really
I hate it.
term. Yeah.
I hate it. It's really dumb. But... like,
there could be points where you can make argument that there is artificial difficulty, and that would be where something's not even difficult, it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. But then you could just say it's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you could, even if something is difficult and fucking kills you, people still call it bullshit. So
yeah, but like so I would say a bullshit way that you could call something artificial difficulty is if it's kind of like random chance if you'll be able to get through it or not. And no involved, right? That I would be okay if people use the term on that, because you have no control over that. You're just redoing it enough times until you randomly get through it, just to inflate game hours.
Yeah, or you just pop off the first time. But like, I don't know. His argument was really bad, and he got really emotional about it, which was not good.
Yeah.
When if you're gonna argue, you have to. If you're gonna argue and want it to be a decent argument,
You have to be
you have
consistent.
yeah, you can't get emotional and start calling other people names and saying
Oh,
they're
yeah,
stupid and shit. It's childish, and a lot of the reason why I won't argue with certain people or
It's 'cause they're
in
bad at arguing.
because they're stubborn. The
Yeah.
thing is, a lot of my friends are stubborn to the point where they're not going to change their opinion. They're not going to change what they think about something, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's only very few people who I can talk to who will turn around their the way they feel, their opinion or whatever.
Yeah,
however
because
they
I would
feel.
make the argument, especially if we're talking about Legendary, that Halo 2 is a much more difficult game than Dark Souls because it's more mechanically intensive. Like, you actually have to get to the point that it's not just memory. There are mechanically intensive things in the Souls games, I'm not knocking on them. But in Halo, there's a lot of, like, twitch reflexes and outmaneuvering and outplaying the things that are there. It's more difficult because you have to develop skill. It's not knowledge base and stuff like that.
Like, your two choices is you have a really big open area, which sucks because you're gonna get fucking shot the entire time.
Yeah.
Or you have really closed areas where you can just get, just one tapped by a fucking an elite with a sword. Like,
just the rush down. Oh,
you have to play it smart, and that's the thing. Like, I played through it, and a lot of it I rushed through because I was running out of time.
Yeah.
I didn't beat it. I didn't beat Halo 2 until like 2 a.m. Yesterday morning. So I wanted to beat it beforehand, but I took a day off on Sunday to play RuneScape. And yeah, so a lot of mine was I died like a lot because I was just rushing. But it's the same thing what you were saying with like Breath of the Wild. Like, as long as you take your time, you'll be fine. As long as you take your time and play smart, you'll be fine.
Yeah, a lot of games aren't that mechanically intensive. There's some that are. And those games really reward you for getting better at them. Like, you feel rewarded because you feel like your skill has physically gotten better. But a lot of games are just mostly patience and knowledge base.
Yeah.
It's like most Zelda games aren't that mechanically intensive. They're more of just like learning. And you feel rewarded for learning, but that's why the games are so puzzle heavy, right? So the reward there comes from solving puzzles rather than getting better at playing the game itself.
So
I like puzzles. What's up?
What do you say?
I have breaking news for you.
News. Ba-da-bum-bum-ba-dum. What is it?
Apparently, all of Twitter's gotten hacked.
What?
Like, it's ridiculous. Bill Gates, Apple, Barack Obama, Jeff Bezos, Mike Bloomberg, all these accounts got hacked. Elon Musk,
What the fuck?
Mr. Beast. Like,
Well, how do we know they got hacked? Like, are they don't have access to their accounts, or are they dumping information?
they're all posting a Bitcoin scam.
Ah.
Of course.
Saying, send Bitcoin to this address and I'll send you back double. Like the oldest Bitcoin scam in the world.
That's funny.
So that's what I went to trending. I clicked on hacked, and it was a RuneScape, an old RuneScape screenshot. It said everyone's fall for the oldest RuneScape trick in the book,
Yeah.
doubling money.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable! Are people this dumb?
How do people fall for this too? Right, like.
Well, I guess because they're
Even prior
rich
to
people.
RuneScape, yeah, I know they're rich people, but like even prior to RuneScape, this is the most common like internet scam, right? You get an email from somebody who claims to be somebody real. Sometimes some prince in Nigeria, but sometimes it's like claiming to be a real person that you could do an internet search and be like, oh yeah, that's a rich person, right? And they're like, hey, send me this money and I'll give you a return on the investment. And you'd think people would stop following this now since it's been going on since like 1996.
And it's like, and apparently $40,000 has been sent to that address in the last few minutes.
Boink.
Oh, now someone said 50,000.
Y'all people
Soulja Boy's
are
been playing
fucking
RuneScape.
retarded. That's what it is.
Decoin, dude. Hit him with the fucking. There you go.
Person said, yeah, Joe Biden, Uber, Coinbase. A bunch of Bitcoin accounts.
I mean, that's why I don't have a fucking what's it called account anymore? Bank account. Brent ruined it for me with the same shit. When I told him what it was, I was like, dude, I did a fucking project on this when I was in college. It was like, it's a scam, and then he used it without telling me.
What, Bitcoin?
No, it was one of those. Yeah, it was like, I don't know. It was like he was on Craigslist or some shit, and it was like, we're gonna send you a check. Yeah, it was like, we're gonna send you a check, and then cash the check, and send us this money. You can keep the rest.
Yeah.
And what they do is they send you like a $13,000 check or something, and they tell you to send back like 10,000.
Yeah.
And
but then
you
the
get to
check
keep
will
the
bounce,
3,000.
and
Hey, yeah, then it bounce.
Yeah, and then you're the one responsible for that money.
Yep.
Yeah, they tried to send one to me, and I ended up not cashing it. Because
I told him, I was like, no, because he asked me if he could use it, and then he did it without asking. And
I used to advertise on Craigslist for the different jobs that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, okay. They scheduled it up, and they sent me the money ahead of time, and it was a check. And they were saying that. It's like, dude, this is totally a ripoff. I still have the check, too. It's sitting in my bag. It's like, this is a souvenir for somebody trying to scam me.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I was so disappointed too when I found out it was a scam. Like when I looked at it and it was like, yep, this is definitely a scam. Because it was supposed to be for martial arts lessons, and I was excited to have a pupil.
Gotcha.
And it's like, nah, it was scammers. Sons of bitches.
Oh, bitch! Yeah.
How do people fall for this?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, Brent fell for it, and I literally told him what it was, and he was like, "No, dude, it's legit." And I was like, "No, it's not. You're stupid."
It's kind of like, because people always fall for stuff like this, or they always fall for things that you're like, didn't we get over this decades ago or generations ago? People are still forwarding chain letters. Doesn't look like chain letters to them because they're idiots, but I'm still constantly, like in my emails or my Facebook Messenger and stuff, people forward me freaking chain letters, and I'm like, don't send me this shit.
My uncle literally sent me one the other day, and I was like, dude, stop sending
Forward
me
this to 10 people. It's like, no.
I told him, I was like, stop sending this to me. I literally told him, stop sending this chainmail shit to me. I was like, dude, like, come on now. And he should know. He's been on the internet for like a while, like since the beginning. He's been building computers and shit since before it was like a big thing. And he's still falling for this shit. Unbelievable.
I think it's like, I'm glad that I got on the internet as young as I did. In a better time for the internet too, right?
Yeah.
But I was on the internet since I was like 6 or 7 years old. Back in
same,
late
because
90s.
I was playing StarCraft and shit.
Yeah. So it's like I got in early to where I could get a good understanding of what the internet is. And I got in at a time where it taught me good habits as well. Because back then, people were always telling you, which I use my real name now because I do publishing and stuff, but for the longest time I didn't, and they said, don't ever use your personal information on the internet.
Yeah.
And I still recommend, unless you're like a publisher or something like that, unless you're trying to actually sell something as a legit business, don't use your real name on the internet. I would highly recommend that. Don't even put your photo on the internet. I respect people that don't.
Yeah, man, if people don't want to and want to keep their shit safe, it's better. But, I mean, I've been on the air for a long time. Shit. Oh. But, man, I don't know what's gonna happen with all this hacking shit. I don't know. Oh, it's bad. Everything went up.
Yeah.
Coin's up to #1 trending now.
Well, it's probably better than what was trending earlier.
What's #1?
Bitcoin.
Oh, you're kidding.
Because for some reason earlier, Jews were trending.
Jews? Why?
Yeah, Jews. Because of Nick Cannon, I think, started it. I think he's become like one of those full-blown black Hebrew Israelites. And
Wow, this feels
then,
really
like
good.
Jewish privilege was trending like a while back too. So there was something going on where a bunch of Jews were making jokes about Jewish privilege to debunk it. But it's for like most of this morning, Jews were trending. And it's like, it's usually not a good sign when you start getting lists of Jews. I mean, we've already been through this before. And Jews don't like being on lists for a good reason.
Oh, you shouldn't make me laugh. Why'd you do that? You did this, not me. It's not my fault. Oh, I almost made a bad joke. By the way, I'm testing out.
You can take any joke you want.
I'm testing out the emulator right now, Citra, with 8-bit Dude or Doe.
I think it's supposed
so
to
it's
be Doe
Dude.
because like Nintendo.
I guess, but let's say Duke. But wow, it feels really good. It's I have no fucking input lag at all. It's very smooth.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It works perfectly. I was playing Samus Returns, and it's perfect. I mean, no lag. I can kill Metroids with impunity.
If you know any good ROM sites,
I usually just do a Google search.
yeah, that's usually what I do too.
Portal ROMs usually has good.
I know one that's good for PS2 games and PS1 games.
Rip cool ROMs.
CD Romance is really good.
I mean, but yeah, seriously, I just do like what game would you want?
Well, I just tried A Link Between Worlds because, like I said, I want to play it. So, but
You should play that, and you should play Kid Icarus Uprising.
Kid
Like
Icarus
I'll
Uprising.
search like Link Between Worlds ROM download. Zipperto is a good one.
Yeah, Zipperto is pretty.
Oh, and with that, it's 5 o'clock, so we should close this out.
Oh.
Anything else?
All right.
Closing statements? Anybody want to say anything? Marsupial, do you want to plug yourself? Or
I would say if you haven't seen it, watch the Castlevania and the Dragon Quest movie, and Voltron on Netflix. But yeah, I'm Marsupial Gamer on Twitter, Twitch, DLive, YouTube, everywhere. Pornhub, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Hells yeah.
But thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. They said
Yep,
you're
yep.
welcome anytime.
Of course.
Chris, you're streaming.
Yeah, I'll probably be playing some Halo 3 later today with the boys online. If they're online, they're not let me downers.
Let me downers.
They are. They really are.
I'll I'll get back to Link, whatever Oracle of Ages do. So,
Eventually.
maybe today.
And then whenever Halo 3 probably dies out, I'll probably play Link Between Worlds on stream. Or Link Between... yeah, that's it. Yeah, just catch it, Noctenix, on Twitch.
And you can find me... Well, actually, I'm not really streaming outside of the podcast these days, but I show up on a bunch of other people's streams at random. So you kind of just have to be on the lookout for me. I'm like Waldo. Just there in other people's places. But you can check out my website, xtimeischaos.com, which, if you're watching this live, it's usually one of the 3, like, brought to you in part bys that show up in the corner. And that has been the Vomitorium. Thank you for watching or listening if you are on one of the podcasting platforms later. And we will see you on, I think, Saturday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. So we'll see you on Saturday at the same time in the same place.
Your
Catch
buddy.
you later.
All right. See ya.
Deuces.